Hello, I'm Janusz Rewiński, and you're watching Break the Fake. They make them, we break them, and tell you all you need to know. Now, it's become kind of sad and empty in the Russian sphere of influence online. We've tried to look for the reasons behind this emptiness, but we think it's apparent right now. We just missed our favorite Russian statesman, Dmitry Medvedev. Once a president and prime minister, now he's become something of a middle-aged equivalent of an internet edgelord with a flashy MySpace profile. You know the kind, so edgy it overloads your brain and your browser. A typical sad clown, Medvedev's life begins to brighten only after he's had a couple and then sits down at the keyboard of his computer. Then his delusions of grandeur take over once again, and he believes that the whole world eagerly awaits his wordy missives. In his latest feat of writing, he said that in order to join NATO, Ukrainian officials will have to abandon their territories. Who knows, maybe even Kiev itself. The former president also suggested that Ukrainians might be forced to move the capital from Kiev to Lviv, but then argued that the latter city might find itself the target of a Polish territorial claim. Also, his post is peppered with racist vocabulary. But honestly, what did you expect? Mr. Medvedev, you're right about one thing. Kiev is indeed the capital of ancient Rus. But what's that got to do with Moscow and its realm? There is no way you're fooling the Poles, who know full well that the Ukrainians are the actual descendants of the people of Rus, and the name Ruthenians was still in use in the lands of the old Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth as late as 100 years ago. The Russians have precious little to do with the old Rus. Muscovy emerged as a contender in Asia only after the Mongol Golden Horde collapsed. This is why modern Russians apparently still carry that thread of eager subordination to naked power deep within them, and why they are also so partial to adopting state structures based around a court headed by a single strongman. Well, we don't really know the author of the video you're about to see next. We're absolutely smitten with it over here at Break the Fake. Let's take a look at two military parades, the one held yesterday in Warsaw, Poland, and the one held in Moscow to celebrate Victory Day back in May this year. Who knows, maybe this T-34 was already sent to the front lines for lack of better equipment. Anyway, moving on. A scandal broke out in Georgia involving the US rock band The Killers. Playing a show in Tbilisi, the band invited a fan from the crowd onto the stage. Now, the fan turned out to be a Russian national. You see, it went like this. One of the fans at the show was holding up a placard saying, "If destiny is kind, I'll be your drummer tonight." The band saw it and pulled him up to the stage, but it soon became apparent that the fan comes from Russia. After learning of his background, the lead singer of The Killers, Brandon Flowers, asked the audience whether they would mind if they played together. In response, parts of the crowd began chanting, "Russia is an occupier," booing the band and flashing their middle fingers at the stage.
You finished yet or no? You want to put me up? You come up here. You want to come up here? Yeah, come on. This Diamond Stripes is ready.
Now, later on, the frontman apologized on his social media. "Good people of Georgia, it was never our intention to offend anyone," he said. "We recognize that a comment meant to suggest that all of the Killers' audience and fans are brothers and sisters could be misconstrued. We do not mean to upset anyone, and we apologize. We stand with you and hope to return soon." End of quote. It is important to note that the show was held on the day of the 15th anniversary of the Russian invasion of Georgia. Could this have been any more tone deaf? At this point, it's hard to see music as somehow existing beyond politics, isn't it? Speaking of concerts, let's take a look at a very different show of support. On the 14th of August, Imagine Dragons played a concert in Warsaw. The US band invited to the stage 14-year-old boy named Sashko, whose house in the village of Nowochrychorivka in the Mykolaiv region was destroyed by the Russian invaders. The boy later joined the artists on the stage and raised the Ukrainian flag for all to see.
There are people fighting for freedom, people fighting for their homes, people fighting for their country, people fighting for their town, their village. So I want to bring on stage Sasha, who's here tonight. Sasha, come on up. Please give a round of applause for Sasha.
Now, Sasha was also featured in a music video for Imagine Dragons' song Crushed. The video shows the 14-year-old, whose village was under Russian occupation for 5 months and barely exists at all today. Sasha managed to survive the bombings because he was hiding in a bunker, while his neighbors did not. The music video also uses footage shot in Ukraine during the full-scale invasion. Notably, the members of Imagine Dragons are ambassadors of the United 24 campaign, helping raise money to support Ukrainians suffering under the Russian aggression. Now, recently, Russian television has inadvertently admitted that occupied Crimea is part of Ukraine. The statement was made by Russian propagandist Olga Skabeeva during a show on the Russia 1 channel. The quote went something like this: "It is obvious that they are not going to strike the territory of the Russian Federation. This is actually Third World War, a nuclear one at that. They will most likely strike Crimea instead." Judging by the footage that we are increasingly receiving, they will strike the Crimean bridge, she concluded.
Вот сейчас как раз шло обсуждение Таурус. Решение практически принято. И по заявленным цифрам 500 километров. Но на самом деле потенциал Тауруса несколько иной, до 750, плюс возможность расширения потенциала топливных баков, это еще 15%. И итого мы получаем 900 километров.
Ну, очевидно, они не собираются бить по территории Российской Федерации, но это в самом деле самая настоящая Третья мировая ядерная война. Ну, то есть бить они, скорее всего, будут по Крыму, а судя по кадрам, которые мы все чаще получаем, бить они будут по Крымскому мосту.
Да.
Also, these guys seem to be really concerned about Taurus missiles arriving from Germany, which they actually might. Now, we're very happy that even Russian propagandists are starting to understand that Crimea always was a part of Ukraine and always will be. Maybe they'll also finally realize that Russia is a terrorist state and that the Russian government and their mouthpieces in the media will be held accountable in The Hague for their part in Russian war crimes in Ukraine. And there is actually a precedent, after all, involving media figures in Rwanda convicted of facilitating genocide. We'll wait, but we won't be holding our breath. These people are unfortunately quite resourceful and harder to catch than a legendary Pokemon. Except no Pokemon ever engaged in promoting war crimes, in case you didn't know. And with this, we end this episode of Break the Fake. Please stay with us here on TVP World for more latest news and updates. Hello, I'm Jonasz Rewiński and this is Break the Fake. They make them, we break them, and tell you all you need to know. Now today, Poland celebrates its Armed Forces Day. It is nothing unusual in principle. Most countries in the world have at least one public holiday dedicated to their men and women in uniform. But for the Polish Armed Forces, the date carries a particular significance as it marks the anniversary of Poland's triumph in the Battle of Warsaw in the year 1920. Now, the battle, commonly known in Poland as the Miracle on the Vistula, saw the Polish army clash with Soviet forces advancing on the Polish capital. Poland's
Hey yo,
Armed
hey yo.
Forces Day continues to
Hey,
belie
listen.
the myth of the
I know you're
vaunted Soviet
joking.
military, and also to provide proof that
The
evil
thing, but
can
like
be
the only
defeated.
reason for the start of
It
World
can
War
be
III.
defeated through
But
undaunted will.
I use that
Because at the time, the Polish army was still
dank
rebuilding
chat
itself
thing
after Poland
where I
became
can track
independent
when someone
in
mentions my
1918,
username in
following
other
over
chats
a
to know what they're
century
talking
of
about,
being
right?
partitioned by
And
Prussia,
I track Wiki
Austria-Hungary,
because
Russia.
they just call me
Still
Wiki
the
usually.
renascent country
And
with
recently
fully armed
there was
volunteer army
one of the
managed to
mentions
stem the
was
communist tide
in
before it
I think it
swept
was
west.
non-smoker.
Let this story
And they
be
kept
both
on
a
referring
warning
to
and an
Victoria
example to
Nuland
follow
as
for the
Nikki,
forces
as
struggling to
Vicky.
contain
So they were like,
the
oh yeah,
fate Russian
the second
imperialism
Vicky
once
came
again
into the
reared
game.
its ugly head.
Russia felt
Now, the
threatened
Poles
and
also
they had
have
to
one more
attack and
claim
stuff like
to
that. And I
fame.
was like,
We are the only nation
I
in
could
Europe
screenshot
that
this.
sees
I could
Moscow.
use this as an intro
On
to
the
my
9th of
channel.
October 1610, Polish forces,
Like,
led
look
by
at this
Stefan Żółkiewski,
fucking
captured the
tanky
Kremlin
admitting
and
it
installed
was
their own
me who
candidate
scared
to
Russia
throne.
into attacking.
For the modern Russian Empire,
It indeed
this is
was.
still one of the
I won't
worst
even deny it.
days
I'll be like, yeah,
in
yeah, it
history.
was me.
Ever.
It genuinely
Full
was me.
stop.
Putin saw me,
Now,
Putin was
moving
like,
on.
whoa,
In the
holy shit.
evening of the 14th of August,
Gotta start
the first
invading before
reports
this
of a
bitch comes in
powerful
and
explosion at
takes
gas
the chunk
station
of my
in
land or whatever.
Machkala began to emerge.
It's where they
Reported
got
that the
their
blast
ass
sparked
fucked.
a fire that was spreading to nearby residential buildings.
That reminds me
According
though,
to the Russian Ministry of Internal Affairs, 2 fuel tanks out of 8
Vlad
exploded at the
Wexler had
station,
this
which
opinion in
meant
one of his
that there
videos
was still a threat
that
of
Russians
further
don't really
blasts.
feel
Early
where
reports also
Russia
mentioned a
ends.
bus that may have been caught
And
up.
because of this, for a Russian, if Putin today were like, hey guys, we're actually, not only are we not going to be keeping on invading more Ukrainian regions, Ukraine is remaining Ukraine, plus we're going to give them a chunk of our land. Like Shebek, is going to Ukraine now. Most Russians will be like, yeah, okay. They don't have like a real feeling of where the country ends. And also talking about Vlad Wexler, he made a new video. I don't know if you've seen it on Top Sense. I haven't. So we still have to watch it. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? It's this one. It's this one. But there's also a new Vatnik soup video right here. And then I also saved this one because I wanted to watch it last time and then I forgot. But it's on Georgia and I really, really, really want to watch a video on Georgia because Georgia is going through some tough times, my dudes. Tough times, okay? What has happened is European Union announced that they had millions of euros, millions, that they were going to give to Belarus and Russia between 2021 and 2027. Billions. And it was supposed to go for like, I don't know, improvements, democracy, bullshit, just the bunch of shit that's supposed to improve your country, okay? A huge chunk of money. And the European Union was like, obviously, now that we know Russia is a terrorist state, and now that we know Belarusians are just a little colony of Russia, basically, of course we can't give them this money. Of course we can't enter in this sort of cooperation with them. So we're taking this money away from a fund, and we're actually going to give this money to Ukraine and to Moldova. And Georgians are fucking disappointed. Not even as disappointed in the European Union as much they are disappointed in the fact that they still haven't managed to get rid of Georgian Dream, which is the party that is fully controlling the country right now and that has been mostly installed by Russia. So I've been seeing a lot of very, very sad views on this. People just being pissed off by the fact that, like, for such a long time they couldn't get enough power in the country to kick out Russians. That at this point it seems like their allies are turning against them. It's a very, very, very sad situation. So yeah, I do want to watch a video on this. I've got high hopes on it, and I just feel horrible for them, dude. I genuinely feel horrible for them. I've been following them for a long time. Their protesters are incredible. They kicked out Lavrov's daughter. They managed to kick out the Russian ship with tourists, which came, I don't know how much of it we shown on stream, but recently there was a Russian tourist ship coming to Georgia. Few Russians gave interviews in which they were like, oh yeah, we came here in 2008 to help Georgia. We came here to help you people because your government couldn't control your military, which was wanting to
genocide Russian speakers in areas of Georgia. So your government couldn't control it, and then Russia had to step in to save these people. And like the Russian civilians who were on these ships, tourists, they genuinely believe in this story. They genuinely believe Russia was a savior, and that Georgians are ungrateful because they're trying to kick Russians out of the country now. So they managed to kick them out. So the boat had to leave earlier because there was so many protesters around it that they just didn't feel safe in the country anymore, which is, you know, exactly how a Russian tourist should be feeling in Georgia. But it's fucking heartbreaking that they didn't manage to get the funds. And it's heartbreaking to me that their people are like so desperately trying to get back on the right track. I do hope they're going to succeed very, very soon. It's just that I don't even know what we are supposed to do in that situation. Because on one hand, giving them cash money would be helping them turn on the European Union path. And then on the other hand, you know, giving them cash money is giving cash money to Georgian Dream, which is basically a Russian party at this point. Let's give Russia money. They will surely use it to improve democracy. Yeah, so great. I actually think I saved it. Where is it? Where's my X? Where's my X with bookmarks? Here it is. X with bookmarks. Dennis, here he is. So he's talking about Volkov's. If you remember, we mentioned this yesterday a little bit. Volkov has published a research in which he claims that people in Germany and France support Putin quite a lot, and this is why we need to do rallies, reminding people that Putin is a killer, to just lessen the support in both Germany and France. Now, Dennis has looked into polls, proper polls by this, so not polls done by Navalny's team, actual proper polls done by actual proper people. Here's the Pew research from spring 2023, which mostly shows unfavorable views of Russia. But more interestingly than this, well, this one is cool and, you know, it makes sense that most people are having very negative views of Russia. I thought this one was very, very interesting. This is the overview of how the view on Russia has changed in certain countries in different years. So you have, like, it starts in 2007 and then it reaches 2023, right? Man. Notice how, for example, Germany, look at them having 32 like favorable percent of people who favorably view Russia, and then the invasion on Crimea happened, and you know what happened? It plummeted to 19, and you know what happened a year later? It went up to 27. One fucking year. So they saw the news about the invasion. They were like, oh no, an invasion is happening. One of our allies that we are trying so desperately to keep the trade with has attacked our neighboring country. Holy shit. And then a year later they were like, Cream, what? Cream who? Excuse me? I don't know what you're talking about. 27. And then it goes to 35, which is like even worse. Spain having like similar but not that bad of a path. So yeah, basically all of them. Like Poles, they had 34, then 36 in 2013, plummeted to 12, stayed relatively low then, but I like how here it went to 2 and then here it's 1. It went to 1. How good is that? Look at India. I haven't even looked at India. What is India? 45. 39 was their lowest. 39 was their lowest. At their lowest, they're still deep-throating Russians. Was their highest? Oh, their highest is now. Great, 57. Fucking cute. Fucking cute, my man. Fucking cute. Where's 38 for Nigeria? Okay, that I see. 38 though being their lowest, but their highest was 53. Okay, so at least they don't have the... Wait, India is the only one which has the highest rating of Russia now. So India is the only country which now likes Russia more than it ever liked Russia before. So yeah, a lot of these have really, really low scores though, so I think that's good. I think that's okay-ish. Holy shit, 64 Greece? 64? Is that the highest it ever got? 64? Yeah, 64 is the highest it ever got. Not even India got that high. Not even Nigeria got that high. 64? Why 64? What did Russia do to Greece? What did Russia do to Greece? No one remembers Kakhovka Dam. Okay. Oh shit, yeah. Yeah, that's kind of sucks. It fucking sucks. It feels there's so many things happening at the same time, and it's very easy to track them. So it's very easy to kind of like forget about stuff that happened before. It just sucks, man. It just goddamn sucks. You know, the possibility of people being brought to justice feels so much lower when everyone's just forgetting about shit so easily. We forget about the crimes Russia has been doing. We forget about everything. I don't know. Makes me feel almost hopeless a little bit. Almost a tiny little bit hopeless. Like I saw a post today about Kartopolov. He said something. What did he say? I don't know. I think he said that Russia's offensive is going to get stronger soon or something. Kartopolov's a piece of shit, so it doesn't matter what he said. It was something like that, a threat. But what matters is that I was looking at the comments, and it's like no one knows who the man is. But just recently, I was seeing so many people post the research on him, Bellingcat research on him, because of the MH17, because of the way he lied about a Ukrainian aircraft being close to the MH17 around the time when it was downed. And then Russian Ministry of Defense came out and they were like, no, there was nothing close to MH17 on radars when it was downed. This is a lie. He lied so badly that Russian Ministry of Defense had to contradict him. They had to do so because his lie was so obvious. There's a whole Bellingcat research on this and it's great, but it feels like every once in a while you get these types of news and people act like they are just drop-shipped from who the fuck knows where, and they don't have any previous knowledge of the situation. It's a weird little thing. Geopolitical bubble and information sphere? Yeah, well, like, what's India gaining from this? Is India gaining from anything from this? I guess not. Why are they doing this? What is the fucking point of it? Hey, yo, Slippers, how's life going? So yeah, we have to watch Georgia. Actually, I want to show you the Georgia. Did I save? Did I save Georgia? I don't know if I saved the post. I saved this one. This is a cool one. Look at this one. So there's this account and they posted, once upon a time, before George Soros and the US State Department, Vicky, spent billions of dollars nurturing Nazism and ultranationalism in Ukraine. Ukraine and Russian flags together. And you know what this was? This was actually a protest in 2014. It was a protest against the Russian invasion of Crimea. It was held in Moscow. Like Soros had nothing to do with this shit. US State Department had nothing to do with it. The protest was against Putin being a piece of shit that he is. That was the whole like backstory of it. Oh, yeah, I need to do that. So whenever you go beer count, it adds 1 beer. I need to actually do that. I could actually. No, I felt it was a personal attack on me. Because usually whenever I see something in the channel, it is a personal attack on me, okay? So that's how I thought it was, and you know, that's why I added it this way. Wait, can I find the Moldova? See, stuff like this, stuff like this, stuff like this. Katie is a great source in Georgia, by the way. Katie is amazing. She's doing a really, really good job. But stuff like this. European Commission redirects 135 million programmed for Russia and Belarus to Ukraine and Moldova. And Katie is talking about how Georgia is signing strategic cooperation agreement with China. This is not what Georgian people asked for. We need to be next to Ukraine and Moldova on the European Union integration path. So yeah, good luck to Georgians, and I hope they're going to succeed.
In the heart of the Ukrainian conflict, an unexpected...
Wait, needs to make it louder. Oh? Hey, yo! Congrats! Thank you for the sub. Thank you. Blat. Thank you. Hope you are enjoying to learn about, I don't know, other countries. Even though as Croatians, you know, we know that we are living in the best one. And that the other ones are irrelevant. Did you see that we got the highest rating for, what's the word? Water quality? Bathing water quality? The new report got published just a few days ago. And we got the top rating. We got the top rating because we have the best bathing water in the world. In Europe, technically, European Union, among the best, but we have the biggest quantity of excellent water. So yeah, that is still the worst. I don't actually know who's the worst. But no, I think I would have remembered that. Because I looked into their poopy hand water. And it wasn't the worst, and then I was like, this ain't fun. So then I just kind of went away. I would have remembered if it was. Hey, here it is. And then. There's also a map, by the way. There's a map, and you can go on a map and you can look at it. But here's the proportion. Poland is actually the worst. Poland is the worst. Poland. This is the proportion of bathing waters classified as excellent quality, okay? So you see Croatia being here. We have we have most of them because we have a lot of water, basically. But yeah, you have all of these. So Poland, Slovakia, Hungary, Estonia, bro, Albania being better than all of these losers. Holy shit, imagine being worse than Albania when it comes to this. My bro. Not something I would have expected to see. But yeah, most of you are below Croatia, so fucking losers, okay? Fucking losers. Patreon seems like better values than the Twitch sub. Maybe it is. I like making it. I'm a fucking nerd, okay? I really like making this. I'm having lots of fun. Look at Romania, by the way, 92. Holy shit, better than Germany. Fucking losers. Bulgaria is better than Germany. Ew, Germans. Poopy hand people. Netherlands is here. Okay, Netherlands is kind of shit. Sweden is kind of shit, though. We drink tap water. It's good overall. It's acceptable for drinking. You have these, which are like coastal and inland bathing water quality. So like coastal one, inland, excellent quality is the green part. So you see how like coastal water has a lot more excellent proportion, and then inland bathing waters have a bit less excellent, but they have a lot of sufficient and good quality. Poor quality is the yellow one, and then gray is just we don't know. We don't know. But overall, we're good, okay? We're doing good, we're doing amazing. Slovenia, a state of losers, a state filled with losers. That's what they are. You look at Slovenia, you see a bunch of losers. They have okay water. Where is my thing? I think they're okay. Yeah, they're like okay. They're okay. 79, it's okay. It's worse than Germany, which is fucking ridiculous. But you know, better than Switzerland. Bro, Switzerland has shit water compared to a lot of other countries. Can you imagine that? Switzerland, fucking Switzerland. You would have think Switzerland would have been on top of the list. No, it isn't. But you have this map, and then you can go to a country, like you can go to Croatia. And for example, when I looked at it yesterday, I went, for example, here, because it's close to where I am. I was going here, and then you can click on the place, and then you can see what the place is, and you know, the water type and everything, and how good it is. So it was good in 2020, and then in 2021 it was excellent, in 2022 excellent yet again, which means that the quality of water has improved. Good, excellent, excellent. See, stuff like that, stuff like that. So you know, I think it's funny. Good, good, sufficient. See this one? Actually, this is good. Drava Pampas. It's because this is close to Vishnevats. Vishnevats people are basically Netherlands in tiny. Okay, they have poopy hands. It is what it is. It is what it is. But they had sufficient quality of water, and now they have good. It is as high as Vishnevats area is going to get. But yeah, kind of cool. Kind of cool. Reverse osmosis filters. What is that? I don't think we do. Like no, we're good so far. We're good. Maybe listen, maybe Croatian water supply workers are just so good that we can rely on them. It must suck to not be Croatian. Not classified. Ružica, why was Ružica not classified this year, but it was classified before? What's the point of that? Sava Kupalište getting worse. Why? It's because it's close to Bosna. Bosna is messing it up. Bosna is trying to tank our rank. This is sabotage. Then you look at the coast, look at our coast, look at our beautiful, beautiful coast. Look at all of these. Look at Slovenia. Holy shit, what is this? Good. Good, it's red, but it's good. But then green is like sufficient. So I guess green is worse than red. Because it's sufficient. That sounds worse. Wow, but look at these. Ha-hey, ha-hey, ha-hey. Okay, we're doing great. We're fucking doing great. Most people in America drink tap water, but a big percentage also only drinks bottled or filtered. Americans are weird because when we get them here as tourists, they prefer buying water than drinking tap water, even though tap water is good here. You know, it's proper. Look at this, by the way, Bosnian Sea. Once they get into European Union, they will also be a part of this research, and it's just gonna be red. Because as hard as they try, the sea here is still polluted by Bosnians. You will never be able to get rid of that. And then this is it, and this is it, and then Dubrovnik, whooshy! Ha! Drinking tap water is like raw sex. You have to be showing everybody involved. I mean, I agree with the sex part. I agree with sex part, you know. I would never grab a man straight off the street and sex him. I would make sure that his quality is good. So I can see why, you know, you probably wouldn't just grab water. You would first have to ensure its quality. But it's good. It's good, my dude. So far, we haven't had any issues. We have... Okay, I don't know how it is in other parts of Croatia. Here, we had... because we are a war-torn area, and there was a lot of issues with the water supply when we returned to the villages, and now we have every 2 weeks, sometimes every week, but usually every 2 weeks, there's the inspection coming, and they test water quality in all of the villages. So they go to the stores, they go to a few bars around, they just let tap water run, and then they put it in like little glasses, whatever the fuck, I don't know, dude, I have never looked at it. I just know they take a chunk of sample and they send it to Zagreb, and then they have to test whether the water is good. And so far it's all been good, it's all been great, so we're doing okay-ish. Yeah, we had issues with water. The problem was that a lot of our water before the war was coming from wells. And then the problem was that a lot of these wells were contaminated during the war. So for a while they were coming just to check the water quality in like households and everything, because you wouldn't know whether the water you were drinking was contaminated with bodies and you were, basically killing yourself. So they would be coming, you could like call them around and they would do a few tests on your water and everything. And then it got established into a system of them just coming around and testing how good your water quality is. And then we introduced a proper system, so we don't use wells anymore, but they still have to come and check the quality every once in a while. I don't really know what they are expecting to find, but I know for now they have been only finding everything to be clear and proper, so... Hey, yo, here I am, Slava. Tried to get free tap water at restaurants in Germany. They would only sell bottled water. To be fair, beer was cheaper. I have read... I don't know how true this is, but I read someone's Reddit post on how they went to Germany and the waiters refused to give them tap water, normal tap water, and they claimed that they can only sell them bottled carbonated water. And I think Germans have a thing with trying to force tourists to pay for water. Because when I was in Germany with my relatives, I've never had the issue of them not giving me tap water. I don't know if it's because we were in like mostly Balkan areas, so maybe they were just kind of used to giving tap water normally. But yeah, we never had issues with it. But I've seen a lot of tourists say that they had to buy water, so that's why you don't bury corpses near a village's water supply. Technically, how to say this? The problem was that when Serbs came into the village, Serbs were like, there's a lot of civilians here. That's a lot of potential war crime victims. But what do we do once we kill these people? It's not like we're gonna bury them like people. Nah. So they figured, because we have to have very deep wells in this part of the country, because we are up on the mountains, and so to reach the water underground, you have to dig a very, very deep well. They have figured that a lot of bodies can fit into one of the wells like this. So yeah, for a while when we returned, you had to report if you had a well on your property, so the government could come in and they could figure out whether or not it was used as a mass grave, basically. So yeah, and then it got contaminated. Like, it's the wells used to be, some of them, not all of them of course, but like some of them would be used using the same water source. So like if one of them is contaminated, then the other one is too, even though the other one wasn't used as a mass grave, but this one was, and then the water just gets carried over to the next one. So yeah, not recommending. German restaurants are screwing tourists. Fucking based though, fucking based. I'm always up for screwing with tourists. I'm always up for taking as much cash money from tourists as you possibly can. Croatia this year is going to have we are going to make more money from tourism than we ever made before. But we are going to be slightly lower on the amount of actual tourist visits, right? So less tourists, but we are milking them for much more money. Less work, more cash. A dream, a dream. This year's tourist season is a fucking dream. Old mine shafts. See, we didn't have those. We should make these. I will never trust government workers in food safety. Makes sense. I don't know, I was always... Like, we never had an issue, so I was never thinking about it, We genuinely never had problems with it, so... In a situation where, like, nobody questions it, then I guess you also don't question it, in a way. It's one of those things, since we were kids, we would just be drinking tap water, and it was always good. Everything was always good. No one ever had any issues. No one from nearby villages ever had any issues. Like, there were never any problems. So I never thought about associating it with any troubles. I think we're good. I think we're good on that. If there's like a single good thing that we have as a country, it's our tap water quality. And also the, you know, ability to keep on going. Bro, we're having shit in the government again. The fact we still stand as a country is amazing, okay? It is beautiful. We are currently having a huge drama situation with Croatian football fans who got arrested in Greece. I don't know if you followed that situation. What happened is Croatia was supposed to play a football game. I don't know what's the Greek team's name. So I'm gonna try to Google it for them to give me the name. It's like 3 letters. 3 letters something. Oh, Greece is going to shut down football fan clubs based. But what happened is Greece and Croatia were supposed to play a game. Now, Croatian fans were not supposed to be there because away fans are not supposed to be at these matches because they cause a lot of fighting. Croatian fans still came to this match because they are pieces of shit. They start a fight with the Greek fans, and in this fight, a Greek man was stabbed to death. We don't yet know who killed him. There have been several reports. There are people claiming it was a Croatian who killed him. There are people claiming it was a Greek who killed him. From what I have found, currently there is no way to prove. There is no way to know. The testing is still being done. They're saying they're doing the DNA tests. So I'm guessing they had the weapon. They're trying to figure out who was holding it. But yeah, basically we still don't know who killed him. But the drama currently is that before this event, we had a situation where few people from Croatia went to Africa to adopt children. And then it has turned out that it is actually quite illegal to attempt and adopt children from certain African countries. And then Croatians were kept locked up for a while. Then they went to a court for it, but the court found them not guilty of child trafficking. The court was like, yeah, despite the fact that it usually is illegal to adopt children from this country, we are finding these Croatians not guilty of illegally trying to adopt children from a country from which you can't adopt children. I'm not yet sure why they were released, to be honest. I was absolutely sure they're gonna end up in prison. They didn't. I'm still not sure why were they found not guilty, but they were found not guilty. So the drama right now is comparing the fact that these people were locked up for a while in Africa, and a lot of Croatian politicians were calling for them to be released and for their families to be able to finally be united. They are drawing a comparison between that and the fact that right now a bunch of football hooligans are being locked up in Greece, and the politicians are not really asking for them to be released as much as they were asking for parents of the adopted children. Those kids are gonna get fucked this time for sure, and they probably deserve it. Some of them have been arrested before for the same thing. Oh, I haven't seen the fact that some of them have been arrested before. But personally, I was pissed off by the fact that their parents called them kids in the first place. They were like, oh, these kids, no, our kids need to be released or something. Like, what do you mean kids? What do you mean kids? These are grown-ass people who went to Greece to start a fight. The grown-ass fucking people. They had like bats and shit in their vehicle. They knew what they were doing. They had masks. They knew what they were doing. They knew why they were going there. And you're like, oh, my kid is being kept in Greece? Your kid? You mean little hooligan piece of shit you raised? Bro, they deserve to be in jail. Even if it turns out that our people were not the ones who killed the man, they deserve to be jailed just for the fact that they were going there specifically and only with a reason to start a fight. Croatia sounds like croissant, and is shaped like one. Is that some kind of French conspiracy? Actually it is. France was like, I want all the coastline in the world because my own coastline is shit. because it is infected by the French. So they have made up this colony in the Balkans to be able to have another coastline, which is not going to have so many French people on it. Greece might have thought they were invading from Turkey. Oh shit. Greek authorities were warned. Greek authorities were fucking warned on this, my dude. Okay, they were warned. We told them, hey, bro, dude, there's Croatian hooligans coming in your country right now. Stop them. Stop them. Just stop them at the fucking border. And what Greek policemen did, border guards, whatever the fuck, they were like, Croatian hooligans are coming to the country. Curious. What I should do is let them in. So they let them in. And yeah. It's a very bent or torn croissant. No, not torn, bent. Bent ones are the based ones. Okay? What do you want to do? Like, get a slice of bread or something? No, croissants have to be like, which? Hey, thank you for the video. I have 3 videos saved. Shit, and we need to start with my videos. We're never gonna go through my videos.
Okay, so I want to address...
Look at these loose little pieces of shit. Valo, thank you for the sub. Hey yo, how are you doing? But yeah, don't trust Croatians when they cry about their football fans, okay? All of them were known hooligans. They are also part of BBB, which is the Bad Blue Boys Club, which is a Hitler particle infested group. Don't trust them. You will see a lot of Croatians crying about this. Don't trust them. We're doing the Serb thing, you know. Like we went there to start a fight, and then a fight has happened, and now we have to suffer the consequences, but we don't want to suffer the consequences, so we are instead choosing to cry. That's what's happening. It's the influence of Serbia on us. It's something that's left, that has remained in the country after Yugoslavia, you know, after being ruled over by Milosevic and co. GeoGuessr? No, this is... okay, fair enough. Have you seen how many paying GeoGuessr games there are, by the way, on your phone? To be downloaded. You have to pay for them. Did you know you have to pay for that shit? Because I got one of the games. I was like, hey, I want to play GeoGuessr. I want to see how good I would be at this. There's literally an app. I don't know which one of them it is, but it's one of the first ones that you get when you look for it. It allows you to make 5 guesses, I think. And then you have to wait until the next day to be able to get like another photo to try and guess. Otherwise, you have to pay. It's ridiculous. It has gotten too popular, and now people want me to pay cash money for it. Bro.
The Georgian Legion, with estimates suggesting
a
strength of up to 8,000 soldiers. These warriors are waging a war far from the comfort of their homeland. A fact which begs the question, why? Why would hundreds of Georgians voluntarily step into Ukraine's line of fire? What ramifications could this involvement have for their native Georgia? In short, these soldiers are driven by a sense of unfinished business. Back in 2008, Russia invaded Georgia, sparking the first European war of the 21st century. The echoes of this conflict reverberate even today, shaping the decisions and actions of the Georgian Legion. The West's choice to overlook Russia's aggressive actions arguably emboldened Russia. This set the stage for its subsequent military assertiveness 6 years later in Donbass.
It's tiny, you watch it on big,
the ongoing
you can
conflict
see like,
in
you can
Ukraine.
do
Georgia and Ukraine find their destinies intertwined, bound together by a common adversary. Nestled in the temperate rainforest between the Lesser and Greater Caucasus Mountains and between the Caspian and Black Sea exists Georgia. The modern country covers an area of 69,700 square kilometers. Tbilisi is its capital and the largest city, home to roughly a third of the Georgian population. Historically, Georgia has changed hands between the Persians, Romans, Armenians, and Russians, and it will be during the endless Roman-Sassanid wars that Armenia, followed by Georgia, would adopt Christianity as the first countries in the world.
Yeah, I actually
this
booked up just
Christian
because of
identity
you.
would define these two people
You
of the
reminded me of
Caucasus. as it separated them from their increasingly Muslim
like,
neighbors. The Georgians would go
Maybe
on
this
to
man has
resist
some
Muslim attempts to conquer the Western Caucasus,
trauma
after
remaining.
which the Georgian kingdom would reach its zenith following the conquest of Greater Armenia and Azerbaijan. However, its dominion over the Caucasus was short-lived.
No, wait, and unironically though, do you ever think about how weird it is that like a stranger on the internet knows knows about the data procedure? Like, do you ever think about that? Do you ever think about how weird internet is overall? That I can be like a stranger online, and I can be like, ha ha ha, you colonoscopy having loser. It's weird. We have normalized this thing, okay? But it's fucking weird. We have turned human connections into something so weird. I'm not supposed to know this. It reminds me of that one. I've read one book on like how weird the internet is, and the book mentions that right now you go to Google and you can see more dicks in like a few minutes that the most workaholic prostitute in like Babylon or whatever that she would have seen in her entire life. You can see much more cocks. Like, how weird is that shit? How weird are the things you can experience? Like me mocking your colonoscopy. Atomic annihilation is a fair price for destruction of Russia. Literally every Eastern European Polish person. I saw a joke like that recently. It had basically the same energy. It's like, oh yeah, we are all going down, but Russia is going down with us. So it's a good thing anyways. Just a fair way to look at things, isn't it?
As invasions by the Mongols and Timurid empires would shatter the once mighty empire, after which the Georgian heartlands became a battleground between the Ottoman Turks and Safavid Persians. During the endless Russo-Turkish wars, the Russian Empire would come to conquer the Georgian lands from the Ottomans, as Russia sought to expand its southern border into the Lesser Caucasus. Georgia would briefly be a battleground during the First World War, when the Ottomans attempted to dislodge the Russians from their defensive positions, only to lose much of their northern territories. As the Russian Empire collapsed into civil war in 1917, the Caucasus would again be strategically important, as the Germans, Ottomans and the British raced against each other for the Baku oil fields, while the people of the Caucasus wished for independence. Had the Central Powers won the First World War, it is likely that Georgia and Azerbaijan could have gained independence under German protection, who would have been driven by the desire to secure the oil from Azerbaijan. However, the German defeat in 1918 would leave the Caucasus at the mercy of its neighbors. Initially, Russian territories south of the Greater Caucasus were united under the Transcaucasian Democratic Federative Republic, only to swiftly break apart into the separate nations of Georgia, Armenia, and Azerbaijan. The Soviet Red Army would invade Azerbaijan in 1920, followed by a joint Turkish-Soviet invasion of Armenia. Following this, the isolated Georgian Republic was in 1921 invaded by the Soviets and Turks also. While Georgia lost its independence, it would become the Georgian
unlucky
Soviet
position
Socialist
to exist in. Holy shit.
Additionally, a certain Joseph Stalin, born in Georgia, would come to rule the Soviet Union in 1928.
A fucking unlucky
While the fighting of the Second World War would be relatively limited in Georgia to its border in the Caucasus Mountains, it would still play a vital role in the Soviet war effort. Not only would its factories contribute vital supplies to the Red Army, the Soviet Black Sea Fleet would also be based out of Georgian ports, following the fall of Novorossiysk and Sevastopol to the Germans. Administratively, the Georgian SSR was not a unified entity. The ethnic minorities in Abkhazia, South Ossetia, and Adjaria were granted autonomy through their designation as autonomous oblasts of the Georgian SSR.
How do we invade
On
from the other side?
It looked like the system of autonomy worked, as relations between Georgians and its minorities remained relatively calm. However, this calm was maintained by the presence of Soviet forces, ready to
Waiting
quell
for Russia
any
to fall and
unrest,
fuck up its
while
dumb
the status quo
face.
was forced upon people of Georgia from Moscow.
It reminds me of when
During
Lukashenko said
Gorbachev's
that
reforms in the late Soviet
Wagner
Union,
Group wants to enter
censorship
Poland,
eased, allowing
and every
long-suppressed
single
tensions
Pole
in
had the
Caucasus
reaction of,
to
yeah,
erupt
let's go!
into violence due to ethnic
Let
and
them
historical
come, let them
grievances.
cross the border.
As the Soviet
The
Union faced its
second
collapse,
they step foot
Georgia's
over the
aspirations
border,
for
you can just
national sovereignty
evaporate them.
gained momentum.
They're
On
not
April
doing
9th,
it. Little coward, little
1991,
bitches.
Georgia's Supreme Council
They tease you
declared
with
its
it. That's what they're doing.
independence
They're teasing
following
you.
a successful
He's
referendum
purposely doing it.
held on March 31.
He's like, hey,
This
yo,
bold
Poles.
step marked Georgia as the first
How do you
non-Baltic
feel about
Soviet
getting to
republic
smoke
officially
some
break free
Wagner
from the
people? And
Soviet
Poles are like,
regime.
yeah!
Romania quickly
And then it just
recognized
never happens
Georgia's
and you're
newfound
disappointed.
sovereignty
Which
in
is
August 1991.
a common situation
Bolstering
with
its
Russians.
international standing, Georgia held a peaceful election that elevated Zviad Gamsakurida, a prominent
What
Georgian
links did Valo
nationalist
click
and
that made
Soviet
you
dissident,
scared?
to the presidency,
What did Valo
with an
do?
overwhelming 87% of the vote. However, his presidency swiftly became mired
Did you
in
see some
conflict,
titties?
particularly with South Ossetia. Tensions escalated as political opposition
There's issues of
emerged
state
from
of invasion.
authoritarian
Every
rule,
Polish person,
leading
let's
to a
fucking
dramatic
go.
showdown in Tbilisi on December 22nd, 1991.
Man, the reactions were the funniest
Loyalists
thing
to
ever.
Gamsakurida and
Lukashenko
opposition
was like, yeah,
forces battled for
Wagner
control
people
of the
really
capital,
want to enter Poland.
culminating
Oh,
in
they
the
can't
fall
wait
of
for it.
Tbilisi
Every
on
single Pole like,
January 6,
yes!
1992.
Can't wait.
An interim government took charge, paving the way for elections on October 11th, 1992. Edward Shevardnadze emerged victorious with an astonishing 97% of the vote, only to face a fresh conflict in Abkhazia. Amidst the turmoil, Gamsakurida attempted to regain power from exile, rallying loyal forces in western Georgia. However, his efforts were quashed by a joint offensive launched by Georgian, Abkhazian, and Russian forces. This campaign ultimately led to Gamsakurida's demise, marking a turning point in Georgia's political landscape. Throughout this period, long-standing tensions in Abkhazia and South Ossetia escalated into inter-ethnic violence and full-scale wars. The support of Russia allowed Abkhazia and South Ossetia to achieve de facto independence, leaving Georgia with limited control over the disputed territories. Edward Shevardnadze's return to Georgia marked a new phase in the country's governance. His presidency was characterized by both progress and challenges. Economic reforms were initiated and relations with the West improved as Georgia sought closer ties with the European Union and NATO. However, allegations of corruption and authoritarian practices within the government generated criticism from opposition parties and civil society groups. As a result, his rule would fall apart in time. In 2003, grievances over corruption and an ailing economy had reached a boiling point, driving citizens to demand change and accountability. The catalyst was the parliamentary elections held earlier in 2003.
This is fake news, by the way,
which were
guys. The
marred by
real
allegations
catalyst
of
was
fraud
Victoria
and
Nuland.
irregularities. In response
I
to
hear
these
she was in
accusations,
Georgia just
massive
before the Rice
demonstrations,
Revolution.
led by Saakashvili, swept through the streets, reflecting the determination of the Georgian people to assert their democratic rights. The intensity of the protests, coupled with mounting pressure on Shevardnadze's government, eventually forced the president to resign. The 2004 presidential elections saw Saakashvili elected as the new president, with an astounding 96% of the vote. This marked the end of the Soviet-era leadership in the country, signifying a decisive break from the past and a strong embrace of a more democratic and forward-looking future. Saakashvili's administration was characterized by a determined drive towards the West, with Georgia even being hailed as a prime location for business several times during his tenure, as he spearheaded widespread reforms across various sectors, including the police, military, economy, and government. He introduced drastic measures to cut down on bureaucratic spending, leading to the abolition of several ministries and a consequent reduction in government size. Saakashvili's government was characterized by a no-nonsense approach to crime, implementing a zero-tolerance policy. They also undertook a program of rapid privatization and economic liberalization, so this period saw Georgia's economy grow by 70% from 2003 to 2013, and per capita income roughly tripled. However, the poverty levels saw only a marginal decline, with about a quarter of the population still living below the absolute
Oh,
poverty
this
rate.
looks interesting.
Georgia's standing in the corruption perception
It's an
index
interesting little
improved dramatically
village.
from a rank of 133 in 2004 to 67 in 2008,
Nice.
and further to 51 in 2012, surpassing several European Union countries. Additionally, the World Bank recognized Georgia as the 8th easiest place to do business and hailed it as the top economic reformer globally. As a staunch critic of Putin's regime in Moscow, Saakashvili did not shy away from expressing his disapproval of the Russian influence in post-Soviet
Based.
states. But his unyielding stance against Moscow's imperialism made him a prime target, which didn't work out for him in the aftermath of Russia's invasion.
Potato Man shot
On
himself
August
a
1,
second
2008,
10k Polish
a tense
soldiers were announced to
situation in
safeguard the
South
border.
Ossetia escalated
Oh
when
yeah, he was
Russian-backed
immediately like,
forces
oh well, we actually
began
need to get
shelling
closer to
Georgian
the west,
villages.
maybe.
Georgian peacekeepers in the area responded
SOL.
sporadically. However, even
Autism.
before Georgia's military response, some Russian troops had illicitly crossed the Georgian-Russian border
Fucking
through the
cruel.
Roki tunnel
Yeah.
and entered the South Ossetian conflict zone.
Thousands of Russian troops and a great deal of military hardware is now firmly in control of South Ossetia. And I suppose it's now going to be very difficult for President Mikhail Saakashvili to ever get that territory back. Vladimir Putin himself, the Russian Prime Minister, has said that he thinks South Ossetia will never be reintegrated into Georgia.
Accusations
You
of
think
genocide
Putin thinks
and
it?
aggression against South
That's a good
Ossetia
source
were
to
hurled
ask,
by
isn't it?
Russia against Georgia,
skinny
which
little
led to a
loser.
full-scale land, air and sea invasion on August 8, referred to as a peace enforcement operation. It is worth noting that Saakashvili's heavy-handed response to the attack did significantly escalate the situation, giving a reasonable excuse for what was to follow. In an unprecedented move, cyber warfare was employed in conjunction with
That's by the way,
military.
this is I know we mentioned this, but like I think it's really important. This in part played a role in how Ukraine responded to Russian invasion onto their lands, because they knew that if they are the ones to fire the first shot, Russia is just going to send the military in immediately. The response of Ukraine to the invasion had to be painted by learning from mistakes that Georgia did when Russia was being invaded. When Georgia was being invaded by Russia, using the same exact pretenses of like, oh yeah, there's Russian speakers in these areas which are being genocided, and they weren't. But they were using the same exact excuses. They were training troops, they were sending troops over to the border in Georgia, so it would seem like Russia is not invading. They use the same exact fucking scenario.
Action, making it the first war in history where such tactics were used in tandem. Eventually, a ceasefire agreement was brokered on August 12th by Nicolas Sarkozy. Despite the agreement, Russian forces temporarily occupied several Georgian cities beyond the ceasefire period. Tragically, during the conflict, the South Ossetians destroyed many ethnic Georgian villages, resulting in ethnic cleansing of Georgians. In response, Russia recognized the independence of Abkhazia and South Ossetia from Georgia on August 26, leading to the Georgian government severing diplomatic relations with Russia.
Georgia, which says it was provoked into launching the first attack of this crisis, has been courting NATO membership and seems to have been counting on Western support, a serious miscalculation.
Although Russia mostly completed its withdrawal of troops from undisputed parts of Georgia, the war left a devastating impact, displacing 192,000 people. Following the cessation of direct hostilities, Russia would take advantage of the situation to stop Georgian entry into NATO by maintaining a peacekeeper presence in the separatist regions. The obliteration of Georgia's military power and the heightened insecurity of its borders, along with the open dispute with Russia, was too much risk to bear for NATO ascension in the eyes of many European countries. Furthermore, the war came at a dramatic cost to Saakashvili's political reputation, and was accompanied by a systematic defamation at the hands of his political rivals. As a result, the roots of Georgia's current political
Which
situation
is the same
can be
percentage of
traced
votes
back to the
Putin got in
repercussions
last
of the war.
elections.
The West's interest
He's
was
gonna get more than
primarily
90
in
the next ones, I
pacifying the
hear.
situation. This approach,
Is that
however,
how Peskov
resulted
said
in a
it? More than
tacit
90%?
acceptance of Russia's aggressive actions. In March 2009, the Obama administration announced...
By the way, I don't know if it's the old clip resurfacing or if it's a new thing, but apparently Obama has been spreading the idea that Russia had a right to invade Crimea because there's Russian speakers there. So they welcomed them. So yeah.
A reset
Obama.
policy in the US-Russia relations, effectively signaling that the aggression against Georgia was forgettable and forgivable. Bidzina Ivanishvili's ascent to power in 2012 marked a significant shift in Georgia's political landscape. His rise was seen as a part of the Western policy of resetting relations with Russia. Ivanishvili taking office as Prime Minister of Georgia marked the first peaceful transition of power to occur in modern Georgia's history. Initially, during Ivanishvili's tenure, the government continued towards its stated goal of European Union membership. However, a change in its overall stance became apparent in 2014. Following Russia's annexation of Crimea, Georgia's response was noticeably muted, and the country's relationship with Ukraine, a fellow pro-Western nation, deteriorated. Many political analysts point to July
to be fair, like even if you don't banish all of these people, if we have learned anything about Russians,
Georgian Dream
is that they don't even try to fake
abandon a previously
democracy.
agreed upon political arrangement.
They just don't
with
give
the
a shit
opposition.
enough to
This
try and
agreement,
fake it.
mediated
Like
by
if you
the
remember
European
the
Union and the US, was
referendums
intended to foster
on
political
occupied
harmony
regions
and
joining
advance
Russia,
democratic governance.
and
The
then
pact
that one video of that
represented a
woman was like
significant
counting the
step
votes, but she wasn't even
towards
counting
salvaging
them.
democracy. The breaking
She
of the
wasn't even
agreement
looking,
was
she was
seen by
counting
many
every
as
single paper
Georgia's
as if it was
Yanukovych
positive,
moment,
stuff like that.
echoing the refusal of former
Sending armed
Ukrainian
people around
President Viktor
to
Yanukovych
give them
to
the
sign
referendum
the
papers.
EU Association Agreement. Georgia's democratic erosion has
They're not even
escalated
trying to
since
pretend it's a
then
democracy. They know what
through
they're doing.
increasing control of the judiciary by the government, harassment of civil society, and a rapid
146%
deterioration of relations with the European Union. In response to the ongoing conflict in Ukraine, Georgia has officially declared its intention to remain neutral, even accusing the US of attempting to draw it into the war against
losers,
Russia.
my dude.
At the same
Imagine staying
time,
neutral.
trade between Georgia and Russia continues to flourish, leading to accusations of Georgia aiding Russia in evading sanctions. And a proposal to impose sanctions on Ivanishvili were made in the US Congress. While there is no definitive evidence for this, and Tbilisi vehemently denies the accusations, the frequency and gravity of accusations suggest attempts to violate the sanctions regime might indeed be occurring. This led to heated arguments between the US ambassador and Georgia's government and parliament representatives. This problematic situation is compounded by the EU's unwillingness to accept Georgia into its ranks.
True.
After its failed 2022 bid to join, Georgia was given a list of reforms which must be implemented in order to be considered for candidate status. The EU's recommendations
By the way, I don't know why they didn't get the fucking candidate status. I'm still pissed off over this. Why were we not giving them the candidate status? They want to join, why not give them the candidate status and they can do the reforms now, but they have the candidate status. Why wouldn't you give them the status? I don't understand that at all. It's not like they needed to get membership, they needed to get the status. Why can't that? There's nothing to research on this. I've looked into it already. I don't understand anything. It all seems to be filled with problems that I'm not getting what are the issues on this. I'm not getting. We already are entering cooperation with them. We already do put a lot of cash money in the country. We already are trying to encourage them to do the reforms that they need to do. It doesn't seem to be... There doesn't seem to be any reason to not give them the candidate status. I'm not seeing it. But it reminds me of the conversations over like why we shouldn't allow certain countries to join yet. Which also very stupid. People are like, oh yeah, we can't allow Ukraine to join because if Ukraine joins European Union, Ukraine has quite a big population, right? So this will mean that we have to put more chairs in the European Union Parliament because it has a set number of people right now. Like, okay, how is it a problem? In what fucking world is that really a problem? Just add more people to it. You can add more people to it. Just add more people to it. Why wouldn't we just add more people to the parliament? It's not like it was a word given by God that it needs to have a specified amount of people, okay? Just put more people. How is that anyone's issue? It feels like we're using very stupid excuses not to, I don't know if I want to say not to anger Russia, but it feels like we're trying to do them not to anger them. You know? Like, oh, we won't poke too close. Georgia too corrupt. Had two problems with that theory. The first one is that I don't think candidate status would have hurt European Union even if you give it to a corrupt country, right? It would just give them the candidate status, but you would still be working with them, you would still be able to cooperate with them the same way we do with Georgia right now, you know? It would just be given the candidate status. It's so important to get a fucking candidate status so that there will be a step in your move towards European Union. You must, when it comes to populations and when it comes to keeping the population engaged, you must keep on giving them steps towards whatever direction they want if you want them to stay happy. And European Union refusing to give Georgia the candidate status, it's making a lot more people lose a lot of their trust in European Union itself. So I'm just angry. But that is the first problem. The second problem I have with that idea is that Croatia went into European Union. Sir, my man, my dude, if it was about corruption, bro, we would be placed with Georgia right now. Ushenko was one of not many countries supporting Georgia. Oh yeah, I saw the video. It was him. It was also the Polish one, right? That was great. I was in Slovakia some time ago, and I felt almost at home seeing they too have Kremlin-funded fundamentalists that say things like, leave NATO, don't fight Russia, which is a great idea when you're a small post-Soviet country. That's true. It's... I don't know what it is with like NATO leavers. I've never understood NATO leavers. I still don't understand NATO leavers. I met, to be fair, I did meet a limited amount of them IRL because Croatia doesn't really have people who think we should leave NATO in those huge numbers, right? But I've spoken to a few conspiracy brains who had that belief, and they never know how to explain the benefits because there's no benefits, but they never know how to explain them. They're always just very confused on everything, and the idea is based on like, oh, NATO makes you a slave to USA, you don't want to be slave to USA, so get out of NATO. Which like, come on. Hitler je za Putina tiho žuborenje Potočića. Oh, I mean, almost. I think I see them as very, very similar, but almost, yeah. I wouldn't disagree. There's something... what's the word? I've looked into the writing today. I keep on thinking who posted it so I could find it for you. But there was this analysis over how long it took for Germany to be allowed to go back into international community after World War II. And how interesting it is. Maybe Vlad Vexler is going to talk about this. I'm actually wondering. I have Vlad Vexler's video saved, and I'm wondering what he's going to say. And I also have Vatnik Suf video saved, the newest one, so we need to look into that one too. Because basically the videos are about how interesting it is to... look at the current developments in Russia right now and look at how our governments are acting and reacting to them. Because it seems that in a case of Russia getting rid of Putin, they would be ready to go back to trade with Russia immediately the next day. Immediately. So like Putin goes down, that's it. And like how concerning this idea is, because it will not make Russians realize what their country has been doing, and you know how they have supported it. It will just create a pretend change, and we are going to be working with Russia again. No parking. Wait, fair, let me save it. Yeah, absolutely. Also Georgia, we need to watch Georgia.
Included a commitment to de-oligarchization, a clear reference to Ivanishvili, who is still considered to be the leading man of the Georgian Dream Party. The EU's decision to deny Georgia candidate status has led to the biggest protests in the country since the 2003 Rose Revolution. So on the one hand, the country is grappling with the aftermath of its failed EU bid and the resulting public discontent. On the other hand, it is dealing with increasing Russian influence and the associated pressure of an aggressive neighbor. This is not to mention the likely short-term economic benefits of maintaining cordial relations with Moscow in its hour of need, which I'm sure many of the named oligarchs are happy to seize upon. So while people's true aspirations might be guiding them towards European integration, the short-term benefits and fear is steering the country back into the hands of the Kremlin, especially considering there is still no date set for EU candidacy status. The dream of joining may just be becoming a bit too elusive for the more pragmatically minded individuals.
Somebody was lucky to have dead relatives in Poland.
Overall,
and had
it
right to
appears
travel
that
every
the
year,
Georgian Dream
and that
Party
he bought
is
everything.
reluctant
Holy
to incur
shit.
the social or political costs of the reforms essential for integration with the West. It is claimed that the Georgian Dream Party is seeking reapproachment with Russia while maintaining a facade of Euro-Atlantic integration. The West finds itself in a quandary over Georgia. Despite its disloyalty, the EU and the US feel obliged to support it in light of the conflict in Ukraine.
Should.
However, this support is predicated on Georgia's compliance with Western standards. There are indications that power in Georgia could shift not through elections, but through street protests that spur the creation of a new political force, as the majority of Georgians still identify as pro-Western. But it looks like everything will come down to Ukraine. The result of the conflict will play a pivotal role in deciding the future course of Georgian politics. Georgia will either resume its journey towards European integration or slide into the Russian camp. A stalemate
just
in
use
Ukraine
it for like
would
communist
likely
countries.
see the
What they see
pro-Russian
as former
networks in
communist
Georgia
countries.
remain on top,
So I could see
winning
like the Soviet
and
bloc,
proceeding to
for
normalize
example.
relations with Russia. This would also mean
Because
no more
for
discussions
example,
about
Yugoslavia
restoring
itself,
Georgian sovereignty over
people will comment
Abkhazia
on
and
it
South Ossetia.
in
Meanwhile,
a way
Georgians
to
who have
call
fought
it
against Russia in Ukraine would find their government
Soviet,
ready to realize threats of revoking their citizenships.
country,
However,
in a way.
if Russia suffers a
I don't know
significant
how to
defeat,
translate this
the
properly.
democratic opposition
But
in Georgia may
they will
score a
sometimes
win
comment
in
on
the
it, but I think it's
parliamentary
because it was
elections
like
coming in
communist and they see it as
2024.
communist.
Above all, it could see the current Georgian
call it
president
part of Germany,
demand
post-Soviet.
for a Russian withdrawal
I've
from
heard people call it
Abkhazia and
post-Soviet.
South Ossetia as part of a peace deal for Ukraine come true.
That's
The overall
interesting.
situation in Georgia is on life support, as is its former
It's just, I
president,
guess, a different
Mikhail
way of
Saakashvili. He is
talking about it.
currently serving a 6-year sentence in Georgia and on trial for violently dispersing an anti-government rally in November 2007 and illegal border crossing. He has rejected those charges, calling them trumped up and politically motivated. His health is in a dire situation, since he went to prison in October 2021 and staged repeated hunger strikes to protest his incarceration. In early December, his legal team distributed a medical report that said he had been poisoned with heavy metals while in custody and was at high risk of dying without adequate care. His lawyers have sought to have his sentence suspended so he could be transferred abroad for more intensive care, as Saakashvili's health struggles are worsened by the denial of necessary medical treatment. The democratic health of Georgia is also stifled by political instability and accusations of fraud. Just as the former president's condition is seen to be aggravated by factors beyond his control, the democratic fabric of the nation is being undermined by external elements and oligarchic control. Balancing the desire for Western integration with the realities of geostrategic pressures, Georgia finds itself at historical crossroads. As it navigates these choppy waters, it will be interesting to see which path the nation chooses. A course towards the EU or a turn to its historical adversary. For the sake of this beautiful and ancient nation, I hope it's the former. Next, watch my video on Hungary, another nation being pulled in different directions. And this is my Patreon lab. Everyone here is a legend. Thank you all for your support.
Kind of want to watch Hungary, but no, first I have to show you the rest of my videos, then we go to Hungary, okay? Then, only then, only then. I'll say this one. This is Vlad Axel new videos. New video. It's on how Putin fooled the Western left. I thought it might be interesting, also considering the fact we just, mentioned Aiden Simpson and stuff like that. I think it may be interesting to hear his analysis of why leftists have been feeling connected to Russia during all of this time, because, logically it makes no fucking sense. So it would be interesting to figure it out. Reacted too cheerfully for Hungary. I like the idea of mocking Hungarians. There's something about them. They're silly little people who are really, really into imperialism. They're too, how would I say it? They're too arrogant for the type of a country they have, It's like when Russians are imperialists, you look at them and you're like, okay, you have the biggest country in the world. I can see where your bullshit is coming from. I still think it's bullshit, but I can see what inspires it. When Serbs are imperialistic and you go, okay, this may be overcorrection because you did get bombed by NATO previously and now you're seeing that as like the West itself fighting against you. The whole world was against poor little Serbia at the time. So now you feel like you have unfairly lost a lot of land that is yours to own. I see where Serbian bullshit is coming from. And then you look at Hungarians and you're like, what's wrong with you people? What is actually wrong with you people? What do you have? Nothing. What in the world makes them imperialist? Hungarian imperialism is like the lowest form of imperialism. Do Hungarians? That's too. He goes anti-imperialist, Western left, and I'm immediately angry, and I have to let you know they're not Western anti-imperialist left if they support Russia.
Violence. We're talking titans of left intelligentsia, Noam Chomsky, Jeffrey Sachs, Cornel West, Richard Wolff. And we're also talking about the so-called alt-left, Glenn Greenwald, Aaron Maté, Tulsi Gabbard, Matt Taibbi.
By the way, I don't know who Aaron Maté is. Holy shit, I thought that was a Twitter account. It's like an actual person with point of existence, I guess. I didn't know this, but I know he tweets some very dumb shit. A friend that started speaking Croatian and Hungarian at the same time when 2 years old. He speaks Croatian at home, but when he fights with his mother, they switch to Hungarian since it's nastier and can do it faster. That's fucking great. Dude, bilingual kids are amazing. I live in an area where we have a lot of Hungarians too. And a lot of Hungarian kids have been learning both Croatian and Hungarian from a very, very young age. There's something, it just makes you feel fucking inadequate when you talk to a kid. So, for example, my cousin, when he was going to first grade, he was like, like 6 years old or whatever, he had a friend in school who was Hungarian. This 6-year-old kid was speaking perfect Croatian, perfect Hungarian, plus he was studying English and German in school. You meet the kid and you're like, what the fuck? What the actual fuck? The hell is that? How? How are you on this level? They were doing what we were in high school. They still do it like that now, 20 years later. Oh shit, yeah, that too. No, actually, I had to teach the kid. I had to teach my cousin English. And then this kid would sometimes come to hang out with my cousin. So he would be there during English lessons. And it was funny because he would, like in-house, they speak Hungarian. Outside, they speak Croatian. And then in school, when he has to, he speaks whichever language he's doing classes on, right? So I'm teaching my little cousin how to say stuff in English. And this kid comes in and he, he's like in his relaxed mode. He thinks he's at home or whatever. He just starts speaking to us in Hungarian, like solving the entire quiz, explaining to me how to solve it. And I'm like, well, wait. So he switches very easily to Croatian. He's like, oh yeah, sorry. He just switches and he goes and speaks in Croatian as if... And I'm like, nice. Holy shit, nice. Lithuanians mostly swear in Russian. I don't know what Lithuanian sounds like. Does it sound like a pussy language? Is it like... How weak does it sound? Do they say Macedonia or do they say Macedonia? I feel that's a very easy way to figure it out. Many Russian maps use projection type that makes countries near poles look big. That's fucking ridiculous. It's like like those filters where you know tilt the scene to make your legs look longer, whatever. They do that but with maps intentionally. Seen a stalker lately? I think day before yesterday, yes. But I wasn't really acknowledging him, and I think he felt a bit ignored. There's something I don't know how to say this nicely. I don't want to say this nicely actually. But like I know that when he was trying to stalk me when I was younger and everything, I know he's a piece of shit, you know. And I know pieces of shit like that, they do it specifically to young girls because they know like you will not speak out against it, you will not know what to do in the situation. But there's something rather satisfying about the fact that, like, right now, I'm the one who doesn't give a single shit. Like, I can just be absolutely horrible to this man. And I don't even mean, like, I'm not attacking the dude or whatever. I'm just making a point out of not laughing at any jokes he says or whatever. And you just see him being pissed the fuck off. It's such a weird, like, energy situation. I think he's feeling it. I don't know if he's aware of how unliked he is, because I'm also making a point out of not having a conversation out of him. I just don't want to get into interactions with the dude. But it's interesting. Like, I look at him sometimes and I'm like, ha, bitch, what does it feel like right now? Like, now you're the one lost in the situation. Fuck off. I did recruit that makes other stuff look big and big. You go to like, what is it? Does Instagram have that in their photo editing? Where you can like tilt the image? I think it's the one, so like the upper part can just be bigger or whatever. Oh, posting bad words come from savage Ukrainians. Ukrainians think it's from savage Russians. Russians think it's from savage Tatars. Holy shit. So, which bad words? It's actually, plot twist, it's actually Croatian. Plot twist, it's actually Serbian, okay? Because I don't know if you knew this. I learned about it recently from some of the Serb TV shows that I watch, okay? But guys, Jesus was actually a Serb. I don't know if you knew about it. Putin too, funnily, Putin is also a Serb. He actually doesn't want to reveal the fact he's a Serb. How was it? He doesn't want to say it to Russians because Russians are gonna be disappointed, so he has to be hiding it. Yeah, there's a whole, they have a whole thing with like Serbian diplomacy went to Russia to speak to Putin, and they claim that they showed him proof of his Serb ancestry, and they say that Putin was very happy when he learned that he's actually a Serb. How good is that? How good is that? Come on. Man was like, oh, thank God I'm not a Russian.
These voices fail to get what Putin's politics is all about. They're skeptical of support in Ukraine, and they don't see how Russia's imperialist implosion threatens us.
Yeah, it's very, very Serb.
Their ideas, ask why they're misguided and what the real world consequences are.
I love this man to death, because he either has really quiet videos, or he has loud music in his videos, but like his speech is quiet. It's never like his speech being proper level. His speech is always too quiet for whatever is happening.
To understand how Putin fooled the Western left over Ukraine, we have to turn back to the tumultuous months before the invasion. On 17 December 2021, Putin issued an ultimatum to the West, which made it clear that he thought that all of Eastern Europe should be his sphere of influence. A week later, he upped the
He was playing into
press
realism.
conference in Moscow.
We said not an inch to the east. That was the NATO guarantee in 1990. So what became of that? They fooled us.
Wait, I didn't know about this.
4, 5. We witnessed 5 waves of NATO expansion. Why can't they understand? What is unclear? I believe everything is clear. We are thinking about our own security.
Putin concludes we are not threatening anybody. So long as we get Eastern Europe back, and so long as the West makes amends for
Whoa, that was good.
Not 1 inch of NATO expansion.
That was a good camera.
When
Set up.
that promise was really made, we'll come back to later.
Oh, that was good.
Saying is we resent the outside
Hey, swimming
world
water
for being
quality.
mean to us.
Wait, I already showed you this, but yeah, Croatia is top in Europe for swimming water quality because we have better water than the rest of you fucking losers existing in dirty water countries, okay? Smelly little people unable to bath outside properly, and then look at us here. We got the biggest amount of water classified as exceptionally good. Talking about this. Slippers. Guess how good Polish water quality is, because you're at 55.9, okay? You are worse than Hungarians. Not just that, you are worse than people in Netherlands. You are worse than the poopy hands nation. How does this happen? You are worse than fucking French. And they have French people in their water. And still, how? Realism is such an outdated concept. I see using realism as part of your analysis. Because I think a part of it, comes... How to say this? I think I can understand in some parts where they draw it from. So, for example, you can see it if we use the example of Ukraine right now, right? Ukraine right now is having to work with USA in order to get proper weapons and proper ammo and proper equipment in order to be able to save themselves, right? They have to be coming into someone's sphere of influence, into the sphere of influence of a stronger nation, right? What annoys me about realism is the whole idea that I'm seeing expressed a lot, which is that countries have a right to sphere of influence. Like when Putin says that he alleges to the idea that the entirety of Eastern Europe is actually his sphere of influence, what gives him the right to say that? What gives him the right to say something like this when he wants to stop NATO expansion and people are like, oh yeah, well, NATO expanded into Russia's sphere of influence. Of course, Russia feels threatened. What gives them the right? You don't have a right to a sphere of influence. If you are influential enough in a way that other countries want to join you, that would make sense. But what gives you the right to a sphere of influence? Nothing. If you're a useless country and no one wants to work with you, that's it. Making excuses based on it just seems fucking weird. Didn't expand it, accepted new members. Yeah, that too. Absolutely. Realism removes any authority small nations have on their own policies. Yeah, it's I see using a part of it. Again, how you have, for example, right now with Ukraine, right? So Ukraine needs to cooperate with other nations in order to be able to defend itself. It's either hey, are you going to surrender to Russians, allowing yourself to come into their sphere of influence, or are you going to be working with European Union, allowing yourself to come into their sphere of influence, right? But you do have authority and you do have the agency over which side you're going to go to. Pretending the agency should belong only to bigger countries and they are the ones who should be allowed to exert influence over you in order to push you onto their side, that is the laughable part about it. I even see it if you want it to be oh yeah, see how smaller countries always have to link themselves to someone stronger if they want to keep existing. I can see that, but like using it to make excuses for an invasion, I don't know. Invaded so many nations and next land with imperialist wars of conquest. But they haven't said not 1 inch to the west. So therefore, are they really guilty? Or are they just doing their best? Where's the deal where they signed that they won't be expanding?
And we resent it, and we demand a new international order now. This was just
see, that's true. It's like we demand a new international order now. What gives you the right? What in the world? And I know that most of my hatred of realism is based on people who misuse it to make excuses for Russia. But I hear the word and I'm immediately like, oh no. I don't think it's that realism applies to great powers, right? I think it's that great powers are excused from doing certain things to what I know Mearshmaya, I looked into him recently, right? He calls it protecting themselves, right? So he's like, oh yeah, great that you mentioned him. But yeah, he has the whole thing with like, oh, you have, he calls it's offensive realism, right? What Mearshmaya is preaching. And it's like you have these big countries, and big countries will be using force to get smaller countries into their sphere of influence. And this is why Mearshmaya and fans of Mearshmaya are people who support Russian invasion on Ukraine. Because in their brains, it's like, oh, this is just Russia protecting its area of influence, right? And Russia is allowed to protect its area of influence because in realism, large powers protect their existence by protecting their area of influence. And this is where I'm like, Like, it feels like any ideology you have, if it supports an unjustified invasion onto another country, it's not really an ideology that I would be prepared to take seriously, and offensive realism seems to be one of that. Noted. No, it's not that. It's just that I see the problems with realism. I see when it comes to like smaller countries, smaller powers and exerting influence, I do see how realism very often ignores that. I see the criticism. It's like when we are having a conversation about USSR, for example, falling apart, or Yugoslavia falling apart, right? And how many people think that these countries only fell apart because USA, for example, pushed them into separating. It was because, USA came into the game and told them that they should separate, and not, maybe people wanted to finally not be ruled over by people who tried to ethnically fucking cleanse them. You know what I mean? I understand how annoying it must be to see realism believers constantly deny the agency of small nations. So I can understand that part of the criticism. I do think it does apply to smaller countries, but also I do think that any ideology becomes useless the second you place it before critically looking at actual events that are happening right now. And I don't think there's a way to do honest critical analysis of Russian invasion of Ukraine without condemning Russia. I don't think there's a single other honest take you could give in this situation than condemning Russia overall. The reality is that great powers definitely do exert more influence than Fiji. Oh yeah, they do exert more influence. My problem is that realists sometimes pretend that the influence exerted by great powers is the only influence exerted. Like on the example of pretending that Soviet Union crumbled only because USA has pushed countries into leaving Soviet Union, right? It's like that. Oh yeah, realism itself, yeah. People who believe in it are, I think, another thing. There's different ways to push for an ideology. There's different ways to, I think, understand it, and there's different ways to explain it. Mearsheimer is an example of people who misuse it very, very badly, in a way. Because the way I'm seeing it, it's like, I see why great power A would invade small country X. I understand that, right? But the second you go, great power was justified in invading smaller country. This is where we may be having an issue. You know, this is where I'm like, So I think I think most of my problems is just coming from Mearsheimer and also supporters of Mearsheimer. But also it's very telling that when you speak to them for a bit longer, they turn out to be very Russia supporting types of people. I don't think Mearsheimer's, showing us the best of his fans.
A long line of Putin's increasingly radical statements on NATO. But to many, it felt like a key moment. Russia observers were beginning to feel that Putin might really be on
put the camera
Russian
here.
armor is massing near the border with Ukraine.
That is so cool. That is so. It's like anime. I'm from Croatia.
Activity in Eastern Europe.
Russian President Vladimir Putin is blaming the U.S. and NATO for worsening
small nations kicking great powers in the balls. Yeah, that too.
Demanding immediate guarantees from the U.S. and NATO.
But for many leftists,
I feel it would also explain some of the actions by great powers, right? Like USSR, for example.
To be taken at face value. And when they listened to Putin's
cam. I cam on the side. So
Putin's suggestion that what he was asking.
How big do you think my tits are?
A massive honor.
Just a few months later, in May 2022, the famous philosopher, scientist,
look at this man,
Noam Chomsky,
look at this man,
on leftist journalist Owen Jones's
Noam Chomsky
and blamed the war on American interventions.
Solovyev, both drying up right in front of our eyes.
That in the period up to the invasion, the U.S. refused to consider any Russian security concerns. Okay.
In Chomsky's view, Russia's security grievances caused by successive US administrations breaking that promise to not expand NATO 1 inch to the east were ignored. While Putin's stated goals in Ukraine, demilitarization, neutralization, were exaggerated.
I have a very Slavic nose though. I have a very Balkan nose. If I do a camera like that, most of the
Meanwhile, the
frame is just gonna be that
roughshod over Ukraine's desire for peace with its aggressive neighbor.
The record all the way through is Ukraine seeking some kind of peaceful settlement, the U.S. refusing to accept it, and in fact moving the opposite direction.
See, like this piece of shit, for example, the whole thing with like Ukraine's seeking peaceful settlement and the US is refusing to allow this. For him to believe that USA is the one making main decisions about this, it's already like ridiculous. Noam looks older than Biden. Have you seen the last drama in USA? Which ones of you are USA people? On Biden's press secretary, I think. Biden's press secretary accidentally tweeted something that Biden's Twitter account was supposed to tweet, right? And then they deleted the post almost immediately. But people managed to screenshot it. And then a bunch of people were like, oh, Biden doesn't write his own tweets? Shocking! And so many replies are like, yeah, Biden's like 700 years old. Of course he doesn't write his own tweets. It's so funny to watch USA like collectively acknowledge that you have a pensioner extra leading your country, despite the fact that he is amazing and I love him. just like in Balkan Wars against Ottomans. We were very strong at the time of that, okay? We had a very powerful alliance. We were not small powers, we were superpowers.
And
Kinda.
Britain, of course. Blair's Britain politely shining Washington's shoes.
In this view, the war is largely a product of American actions imposed on Ukraine and Russia. Here is Jeffrey Sachs, the economist and public policy expert. Jeffrey says that the American neocon project of creating a unipolar American world, which is what led to NATO...
Also, neocon is a new word I hate, because I had a conversation with someone on Twitter recently, and they kept on calling me a neocon. And I didn't know what it was. And then I went to Google it, and it's some USA shit. It's some USA shit, and basically what the how do I say this? You saw the thread. I was so fucking pissed off. The idea is like neocons are constantly trying to push USA into any war existing. So whatever you say that makes me want for USA to join the war is a neocon agenda, right? So at one point I was like, bro, are you aware Russia is genociding Ukrainians and helping Ukraine fight against this is a good thing? And he was like, that's a neocon talking point because you are making it seem like it's a good choice to enter this war. So that's something that neocons would say. Like, but are you aware of it now? How's it the response? So yeah, I have grown rather hateful of a lot of people ever since I've started using Twitter during work. I think I shouldn't be allowed to do that. One of my friends identifies as neocon. Oh, do they support USA joining the war? Because if they do, they're based. Better to be a neocon than being a neocon.
Expanding right up till Russia's border.
I should have thought of that.
Responsible for Russia's invasion of Ukraine.
Better a neocon than a neocon.
Was to surround Russia in the Black Sea. President Putin came in. He was not anti-European. He was not anti-American. What he saw, though,
bro, open Discord, I start opening links, and then I have to stop.
NATO,
I have to
the
go.
wars in Iraq, the covert war in Syria, the war in Libya against the UN resolution. So we created so much of what we're facing right now through our own ineptitude and arrogance. There was no linear determination. It was step-by-step U.S. arrogance that has helped to bring us to where we are today.
Man, I hate him so
What
much.
about the alt-left? The alt-left
is the alt-left?
is sociologically different from the left, but it largely uses the same arguments. If the left is
So what's the
driven by
difference?
traditional critiques of US imperialism, the alt-left is driven by participation in the culture wars and responsiveness to the crisis of trust in public institutions in the West.
Wait,
so
Syria?
it's here goes the evil American empire again versus uses the same argument. Is so
The war expansion. What he saw, President Putin came in, he was not anti-European, he was not anti-American. What he saw, though, was the incredible arrogance of the United States, the expansion of NATO, the wars in...
Also, like, bro, I wish there was a way to just bitch slap everyone who uses the term arrogance when talking about international relationships. It pisses me off, I think, about the same as hypocrisy does. When people go like, ha, hypocrisy of the West. It just all of these people operate on like high school level of knowledge, which also I guess is why they blame USA for everything. It's like something that an edgy high schooler would be saying.
Iraq, the covert war in Syria.
Yeah, the
war
expansion
in
of
Libya
NATO, like,
against
bro.
the UN resolution.
Countries
so we
asked
created so much of what we're facing
join.
right now through our own ineptitude and arrogance. There was no linear determination. It was step-by-step U.S. arrogance that has helped to bring us to where we are today.
Bullshit. Bullshit, stupid-ass take. Dumbass, just... very USA. Very USA. What is this news? Gas stations? We're gonna be... We're starting to sell bread. I'm actually supporting this, okay? And now people will return home drunk, but with bread. That's fair, that's fair. Such a location that people will bring old bread home because it's too far away from the city. I support non-working Sundays, though. I support it. I'm a big supporter. I'm huge supporter, humongous supporter. It's one of those situations where I have seen plenty of arguments against non-working Sundays. I have not seen a single good argument. Not a single good one. I've seen a lot of trash ones though, but not a single good one. They're all with trash. And the worst thing is, it's not even that many of them were just trash, like logically trash. No, many of them were trash because people lied. Like one of them, I remember having this Twitter fight with one of the Croatians, and then I told him he's doing preseravanje, and then he got offended and left the conversation. But he claimed that an average worker in a Croatian store used to be earning 150 euros per month working Sundays, and now because we don't work Sundays, all of our paychecks are going to be less by 150 euros. And I did calculations, and I was like, no, there's no chance to earn 150 euros per month unless you have twice the minimum wage, which most workers in stores are not, in retail are not having, but twice the minimum wage, and you work every single Sunday, and 5 Sundays it has to be in a month for you to reach 150, and then every single Sunday out of these 5 you have to work for 10 hours. That is the only way. So like twice the minimum wage, 5 Sundays a month, every Sunday you work for 10 hours. Only way for you to make 150 euros per month. And I can assure you, if someone's making twice the minimum wage, they don't give a shit about 150 euros extra on their paycheck. So it's bullshit. People have been lying left and right. The dude I was talking to, he was literally working in retail. He worked for the company that I'm working for. So I technically called one of my former executives an asshole, and told him he's doing the overshitting thing. But like, my man just lied. My man just went to lie to us. 20 euros Saturday for 5 hours only. Yeah, it's like I've calculated. We get for our Sunday we get 1, 2, 3, 4. I think it's like 7.5 euros extra, right? 7.5 euros extra per Sunday. And then you connect that with the fact that because there has to be 2 people working Sunday, it means that during the week 2 shifts must be missing a person, because you must be having a free day anyways, right? So 2 days per week no one can be doing the job properly in the afternoon shift, because there's not enough people in the afternoon shift, because someone has to be free to be able to work Sunday, right? And you go through all of this trouble for like 7.5 euros? Bro. I want my sub refund for what? For what? For what? Israelis banned who? Israelis banned who? I wanna know.
That's the left. But what
I want to know what's going on. I want to know if that's some extremist thing. I don't want to be accused of extremism.
But it largely uses the same argument. If the left is driven by
depends. Can you explain what Kahanism is to us?
Old left is driven by participation in the culture wars and responsiveness to the crisis.
I know it's your flag. I'm asking you to elaborate.
So it's here goes the evil American empire again versus our institutions are corrupt and we can't trust anything they do anymore. Here is Tulsi Gabbard.
So what we're seeing play out now is essentially a proxy war. U.S. is engaging in a proxy war with Russia, waging this war using the Ukrainian military.
Hey, by the way, who knows what's Joe Rogan's views on Ukraine? Because I learned about this woman because Joe Rogan was supporting her. during the presidential election. What's his views? What does he think?
People as their chess pieces in this geopolitical chess game. The ultimate objective being regime change with Russia.
They're all arguing that since
See, but that's the thing with like realism. I think this is why many people hate realism. It's because that's what realism makes certain commentators default to. I don't think it's all of them. I don't think it's I don't think the ideology itself may be completely wrong in that regard, but a lot of people who represent realism are absolute imbeciles, and in that situation it's kinda I see why people have very strong, very negative reactions on it. Dude, if it's an extremism flag and you can't even like explain why you want the extremism flag, no, of course I can't. No, I don't want to be showing around extremism flags. It makes me feel like all you're doing is like Googling around extremism flags and being like, yeah, I want this one. Of course not. Unless you have like ways to explain why you think this ideology is important or whatever. I don't want to be showing random ass extremism flags around. Why are you a Jewish nationalist? I feel like that would maybe a more interesting question. Why the fuck would you be a Jewish nationalist? That's a worse response than the response of I just like Googling around extremism flags. Rogan has no views. He has some. He has some. But yeah, true. He mostly just goes and exists around. That's true. If he could put something in a box that would be open in 100 years, what would you put in it? Fuck, wait, I have to figure out a good answer to this. Would you like a Palestinian flag? You believe that people have the right to have their own national culture. So you believe that Arabs living in Israel are enemies of Jews in Israel itself. Your belief that people have a right to have their own national culture is somehow connected to the belief that Arabs are enemies of Israel itself. What would I put in a box? I don't know what I would put in a box. I'm trying to figure out, like, well, it's 100 years. I'm gonna be dead in 100 years. I'm gonna be dead in 100 years. You know what I wanna do? I wanna prepare like a diary or something, and then I wanna be writing it for some time to follow the news and everything, and I wanna put that in a box. I feel something like that would actually be useful for like future generations, because you would be giving them a way to understand how a person from the past has been perceiving certain things. Maybe something like that. Hey, I wanted to say Putin. My first answer was Putin, and then I was like, maybe you're looking for a more serious answer. Because my first one was Putin. And I was like, no, Vicky, you can't say that. You can't say that. You have to be nice. It would probably scare people. He would be coming out looking like that. You know that Voldemort in Harry Potter? They just take him out like, what is this? He still has high heels on. Wanted my beer on Tuesday, now it's Thursday. Better be here tomorrow, otherwise my weekend is ruined. How long? Where do you order it from? How long for it to usually reach you? Hamas? It's not about Hamas though, it's about Arabs. It's not about Hamas specifically.
What was America's to start and profit from, it is also America's to end. A key facet of the Western left's critique is that it is possible to off-ramp, that opportunities for peace have been missed and sabotaged, and that a solution is still
Wanna
available
deliver me craft
if we
beer?
pursue negotiations.
Cygnus,
Here is economist and public intellectual Richard Wolff.
My conclusion, and that of many around the world.
No, he can't. I'm banning Israel from
End
flags.
this war, sit down the two sides, work out an acceptable agreement. Anything is safer and better for the world than continuing down the unknowable, dangerous path that we are now on.
And here is Chomsky again.
Possibly is one way to bring the agony to an end quickly. That's negotiations and diplomacy.
As if we haven't tried that already, you old rotten fuck.
Offering Putin some kind of escape hatch.
As if we haven't done that too.
Admitting total defeat. That's diplomacy. Well, if you reject it, you're carrying out a grotesque experiment, gambling with the lives of Ukrainians, and in fact the world.
What a piece of shit
that's
he is.
The experiment that the US and Britain are undertaking.
Chomsky has roots in Ukraine. His father was born there. And he is a significant intellectual outside the realm of politics. And some of the other people...
Oh, I'm just against nationalism.
You have a relationship with. But they are not...
I'm just...
First,
I'm just a hater of nationalism.
They are misreading why Putin invaded Ukraine. And because they are
guys,
misreading why the war began.
Guys, I have to show you something. Guys, I knew it. I knew this would happen. I knew this would happen because they're idiots. Fuck, I have to show you something. Stade de France people have fallen for the African village in Russia thing. I've sent you the screenshot in Discord so I can open it here. I fucking knew this. I fucking knew it. Okay, I actually saved sources on this. So I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna show you my sources on this, okay? But they're talking about how Russians want to build a village purely for African Americans. Basically, all African Americans in Russia are students from Africa. You know what they want to do? This is bullshit. This is a horrible way to try and present it. This is a lie. It's a fucking lie, okay? But what they want to do, genuinely, is to build a village for Africans. And now, the story about them building a village for Africans has been presented as like, wow, look at Russia. It can't be a racist country. Russia is such an amazing, amazing place, isn't it? It's making a whole village where Africans can be safe. And then, well, let me just walk you through the whole of it. It has been initiated by the African International Congress and Klimenko, who is also the head of the Eurasian International University, okay? Klimenko made a post on his, is it The Contact? He made a post. And in the post, he explained that, guys, don't worry, it is The Contact. Don't worry about this village that we are making. No, it's not separating people and race in that way. It's a village for white people. It's a village for white people. He explains in his post that in the village is meant for descendants of English and German and French settlers from Africa. Their kids are now in Africa. They don't feel comfortable in Africa because times have changed. So they want to come and live in Russia. And Russia is building them a village. He says everything has become tolerant and it is not comfortable, and sometimes it's even dangerous for these people to live with their neighbors. After a village, it's supposed to save descendants of people who colonized Africa, Europeans. It's supposed to save their kids from having to live with their neighbors who are actual Africans. That's what it's supposed to do. That's the whole fucking thing. It's not supposed to be a village for some like anti-racism, oh, black people village, black people can come to Russia and live freely. No. It's getting white people out of Africa. It's fucking ridiculous. I knew they would fall for it though, because they're imbeciles. and they don't follow Russian news, and they don't follow actual Russian posts. Like, they don't know what is happening in Russia because none of them actually follow Russian news. When you go to Skade, when you go to any of these like pro-Russian streamers, they don't know what's happening in Russia. Right? This is why even now, like with Ukrainian counteroffensive, for example, when you talk about their when you talk about the successes of Ukrainian military, right? People like that will tell you that, oh, there's two sides because USA is saying Ukraine is making gains, but Russia is saying that Ukraine is not making any gains, which isn't true. Russian mill bloggers are also saying Ukraine is making gains because Ukraine is making gains. And there comes a point where you can't hide these gains anymore and you can't negate them. And that is a point that Russia has passed quite a long time ago. If you follow Russian sources right now, you know Ukraine is making gains. If you follow USA sources right now, you know Ukraine is making gains. No matter which sources you follow right now, you know Ukraine is making gains in the counteroffensive. But people who don't follow any sources, but like some random ass Twitter posts, they will be the ones who will deny what Russia itself is admitting. They fall for propaganda that Russians themselves don't fall for. It's ridiculous. But yeah, that's what I need you to know about the goddamn village. It's not going to be a village for black people. I have seen a lot of people already go oh, Russia can't be racist because it's making this village route. Make sure to let them know that Russians themselves are being like, yeah, this is going to be a village for whiteys. It's just the white people. We don't want black people in it. Oh, the gains are actually, I think the gains are impressive considering the fact Russia has had a lot of time to prepare, but also considering the fact that they are suffering massive losses. Plus the clusters seem to be doing good. Like, personally, I'm quite, right now, I'm quite GG. Ukraine really has chosen to attack the most fortified Russian position on this offensive. They seem to be doing okay-ish, though. They seem to be doing okay-ish. After village is an idea, sounds like the Paris replica in China. Eh? What is this? What is this? What is this? Heads on? Biggest protected access, no surprise anymore. And still Ukraine is gaining ground. Nice. Yeah. No, it's incredibly impressive that they're doing so well. Incredibly fucking impressive they're doing so well. My man. Just fucking great, okay? Fucking great. I am incredibly happy to see that. I do hope we are going to keep on getting gains more. I'm very hopeful over this. Attrition warfare in full force. I've also seen people talk about the helicopters. Fuck, where do I have this saved? Oh, why do I need to show this? But the helicopters, Ukraine managed to down Russian helicopter. Some people are saying one, and then I've seen some people say that there's actually been two, so I'm not sure. But apparently the fact that helicopters have been shut down is a great thing. Bro, I thought this was Sana Marina. I was like, what? It's a great thing because it shows that Russians are willing to risk their helicopters by bringing them closer to the enemy. They are desperate to stop the Ukrainian advancement. This is a good thing. So, overall, yeah, it seems... Oh, where's the fucking helicopter thing? Who the heck knows? But it seems that right now the situation is being okay-ish. As long as NATO supplies equipment, Russia is the one who cannot keep up with demand. Yeah, they also did try to, what's the word? They tried to encourage oligarchs in Russia to sell their foreign currency to bring the worth of a ruble up. So we'll see how that goes. Chinese economy is doing great, and also they have lowered the interest rate in an attempt to bring the economy back to life. Oh shit, good luck. Look guys, this is BRICS supremacy. This is BRICS supremacy, and what do I tell you? The West is crumbling right in front of your eyes.
And they're unable to understand the ongoing dynamics.
Nothing's wrong. I just have to open
so let's
Twitch
go back to Putin's
to do the
December
refunds.
2021 ultimatum and the causes of the war.
Yeah, I feel like
Everything
opening
we've
Twitch because
seen
it's gonna
from the
glitch
left
everything for me.
and alt left tends to capture the
I
causes
haven't
of
said
the war
American
in
flag
terms
is.
of Russia's
The first one you've
national
chosen was, though.
security, as expressed in Putin's ultimatum.
So now I've
But
just
in
kind of moved
reality,
away from the
it's a lot more
conversation.
complex than that. There are two primary explanatory pillars driving the causation of the war, and actually neither of them can be mapped onto NATO expansion. Let's start with the first pillar, regime security. Russia's invasion of Ukraine in 2014 and the full-scale
Man, I love this
invasion
camera angle.
in
Holy shit.
2022 were done in good part to avert regime erosion at home. In the pre-2022 world, Putin was playing president by outsourcing his presidential powers to his court and then arbitrating, refereeing conflicts within.
It says I can refuse to
And at
show
one
flags
point he
that I
felt
disagree
that
with.
his refereeing powers had
We need more angles. We
shrunk.
do need more
And
angles.
to
I need one
gain
from up
them
there.
back, he thought
Need to
he
put
needed
the
war.
camera on the
There is
ceiling.
another factor. Putin felt that the younger generation was drifting away from him and he could put a lid on top of them via a war. Putin hoped, and he still does, that a big conflict against the West, a militarization of Russian society, will allow him
Look
to
at
skip
him.
a generation, bringing it about that today's Russian children grow up to become.
How great is it?
The second pillar of the explanation for war is about national security, kind of, but not in a way our
Ish.
leftist heroes would have us believe. Putin's conception of that.
But like, hear the music, how it's a little bit louder than it's supposed to be?
Mystical than their understanding allows. Between 2010 and 2014, Putin developed a sense of mission, and Putin, the amateur historian, began making self-aggrandizing ventures into the past, looking for role models for himself. And he came to think, perhaps Tsar Alexander III, that he was special. He got the feeling that Russia's cultural destiny was now tied to the will of a single individual, Mr. Putin. This sense of mission came years after the 2007 speech at the Munich Security Conference. There, Putin too wanted to reject the post-Cold War European settlement, but his later rejection of it took on a more mystical quality.
А зачем нам такой мир, если там не будет России?
The left, and to be fair, many in the West, deal with the Putin regime as though it were Brezhnev.
Wait, Brazil's doing okay, but has serious crime and corruption. Russia is economically collapsing. India is doing great, but facing civil unrest. China's economy is in recession, most likely. South Africa is about to become a failed state. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you the country that will surpass the West, according to Russian and Chinese state media. Wait, I haven't seen Chinese state media talking about this too much, though. I would love to see a Chinese source on how BRICS is going to be overtaking the West, because they would have to actually be speaking at least somewhat positively about India. Like, that would be the funniest thing ever. Like, the funniest goddamn situation. What? AI influencer creator? What is that? The fuck is that? I was recently on Twitch two days ago. I think I was talking to my boyfriend, and he was basically mocking the state of Twitch with like how many boobs there are on Twitch right now and how weird it is to like scroll around. And I was like, yeah, bro. And I go around and I scroll and I see just boobs, boobs, boobs. There was one Baldur's Gate. Like the top streamer in Baldur's Gate at the time. It was some random ass woman and her boobs were basically like a quarter of the screen. So you have the game and then you have her humongous titties right there. But what was what was the weirdest thing I found is that there was I think it was just chatting streamer, and they're using a avatar. So it's a VTuber, right? But the avatar has like humongous tits. It's like, do you imagine like normal sized person and humongous titties, just huge titties on screen. It was such a weird thing. I don't even know, like I look at it and I'm like, should Twitch be censoring this? Because it's huge titties. But like it's drawn titties. It's not real titties. And also it has like a bra or whatever, right? So you don't see the nipples. But also, should Twitch be censoring that? Because it's kind of weird that most of the screen are huge titties. But how do you make a rule? How do you write a rule in Twitch TOS that like your avatars can't have humongous titties? You know what I mean? It's something that I don't know if you could control for, but it's a weird thing to see because it was just huge titties just there on the screen. And it's a weird thing to see. Twitch doesn't ban body art. On body art, I'm like 50-50. Because one part of me genuinely respects the art part of it. It's really, really hard to do body painting. Really, really, really fucking hard. You need to actually be a very talented person. And there's a photographer here in the city. At least there used to be one. I don't know if she's still operating. But she used to be taking photographs of like body art models, and it was beautiful. It's such an interesting like form of art sometimes, and you actually truly do need a talent for that. But then you go on Twitch and it's like body art, and then you have people doing actual artwork. Like I remember this one woman, she was doing like whole outfits. She was painting outfits on herself, and she was looking great. You would actually think this is a very cool outfit, and then you come to the stream and it's like painted. But then at the same time, yeah, some people are in the body art section and it's like they just draw a little flower over their nipples and that's that. I don't know how you would like make a rule for that, Like what do you write into the rules? Oh, at least 50% of your body must be covered by paint. What do you do with that? How do you figure out who to ban and who not to ban? I don't know. It kind of sucks because I think it's like with ASMR, how some people genuinely try with ASMR and they try to figure out how to make different sounds and everything, and it's like actually enjoyable and it's actually calming. And then you get more other people who are just basically, just putting titties on display and moaning into the microphone. It's basically softcore porn. And I don't know how you would write the rules to allow one and not the other, but it's very weird to see. And I genuinely don't even know how prevalent it was until like 2 days ago. Because I was telling my boyfriend that I blocked one of them. I blocked the one, I don't know if you've seen her, but she does yoga. And her ass is always like huge. And always turned to the camera. It's like the entirety of the screen is just her ass. And whenever I click on just chatting, I see her. And it made me so annoyed because like I click on just chatting, she's the first one that like opens in the preview. And then I don't know if that counts as watch time, but it has gotten to a point where wherever I click on just chatting, if she is in the category, she is going to be the first one shown to me. I think it's because like when you first click, it counts as watch time. So basically I had to block her to never see that humongous ass on my screen again. But then I went to check into the other ones and it's weird. It's weird. We should have a way to separate that. It's kind of weird little thing. I don't know how I'm feeling about that. You get banned when you arty shit. They should unironically do that for painting too. I remember once going to look at people making emojis, emotes for Twitch, and bro, some of them were shit. Some of them were just shit. You should just get banned for shit art. Separate section on Twitch for the stuff that is softcore porn. For me, it's like they should create a separate section, but the second you go into the separate section, you get automatically banned. Because I don't want softcore porn around. Just go to a porn site, my dude. I don't want porn here. And yeah, Russophobia will get you banned too. See, that's unfair. That's unfair. That's unfair. Like, you say fuck Russians and Twitch can ban you, but you know, you show your humongous titties on screen for everyone to see, and that's not bannable. Come on. Come on. There's probably some very skillful dancers, but usually just sexual. Okay, yeah, that too. Yeah, true. I think it's like with yoga and everything too. It's just, Slav is watching us for now. For now, because soon Twitch is adding the thing where if you ban someone from your chat, they can't be watching your stream anymore. So, I'm actually wondering how that's going to change the dynamics on this part of Twitch, because there's a lot of hate watchers, I feel, in politics on Twitch, and I wonder what they're going to be doing if you know, if they're unable to watch streams that they used to be watching before. Slav's second account? Ooh. How would I even figure that out? Is there a way to figure that out? Watching incognito. They said that they are looking into that too. They had a... I saw Twitch clips of this, so I don't really know exactly what I said. But at first they said that if you ban someone, they're unable to watch your stream, right? Or to watch the chat. They can't watch anything, right? And everyone was like, yeah, okay, this is a good choice. And someone asked them, what about people who just like log out and then they will watch without logging into the banned account? And Twitch said that they are looking into that too. So I don't know. Russians could pour gasoline all over themselves and play with matches. Oh. That's a very Thompson way of commenting on those poor people. Are you Thompson's second account, Valo? Is that why you have so many good links? Thompson also always has really, really good news. I imagine you are the same person. Hey, by the way, I have to run for a second. I'm gonna be playing you, Vlad. I have to run for a second. I drank a lot of water. Be right back.
It is closer to being something like a radical terror organization, invoking holy values to justify violence. But here we have to concede a point and allow nuance. NATO expansion was handled badly, and Western leaders like Bill Clinton knew that when they were doing it. Before we tackle this, let's clarify the infamous not 1 inch to the east promise. Was there a promise? Promises were made repeatedly, but they weren't formalized. So here is my analysis. A politician can promise another politician something by saying it, but a state cannot promise another state something without formalizing it on paper. And when we look at the formality, we see that the Kremlin signed a treaty explicitly allowing the expansion of Article 5 eastward. When Putin says that Russia got fooled, he is half right. Mr. Gorbachev got fooled because he was an extraordinary leader and a poor negotiator, but the Soviet Union, being a state, didn't get fooled because states don't make promises to each other that aren't on paper. And what then followed was that the East European countries wanted to run away from Moscow and join their own security alliance. Because when Russia invaded Ukraine and nearly took Kiev in 2022, this wasn't the first time. There was Budapest in 56, there's Prague in 68, and there is Poland in 81, when there weren't Russian tanks in Warsaw, but there were Polish tanks ordered from Moscow. But as Mary Surratt argues in a path-breaking book, the problem wasn't that NATO expanded, the problem was how NATO expanded. For example, there was a possibility of a more rapid but more diffuse expansion, which is what Clinton wanted, partly because it would avoid creating a line by leaving Ukraine on the wrong end of it. Either way, as Mary Surratt argues, nothing was more conducive to radicalizing Russia than expanding NATO in small tranches. But while this radicalized Russia, NATO expansion is not a primary cause of war. Centering it doesn't account for the domestic regime security causes of war. And as we have seen, reducing Putin's sense of mission to grievances about NATO expansion over-instrumentalizes his worldview. We are not looking at a guy who wants to alter a couple of moves on a board game. We're looking at a guy who wants to take the board game and throw it off the table. And there is something else that the NATO expansion did it argument implies, and that is that Putin's imperialistic death spiral serves Russia's national interest. But any thinking Russian should know that Putin's actions are destroying Russia's future and increasing the odds that Russia may not exist at all. And there is an even more striking omission in that argument, and that is Ukrainian agency. Since 2014, Ukraine has come together
Ukrainian
in a civic
agency,
bond
thank you.
powered by
Thinking Russian.
anti-colonial sentiment. And it's only an ungrounded
It's a cryptid.
newspaper clipping approach to political understanding that could lead
Famous
Noam
cryptid of
Chomsky to say
post-Soviet
that
era.
Ukraine wants peace more than weapons.
Yeah, Philip, how's life?
Both Putin's sense of regime security and his sense of mission are not compatible with an off-ramp. My interpretation is that Putin wants a big war against the West, but in several years from now. Meanwhile, he wants
Bro, he's
a
not gonna be
low-level,
alive several years from now.
minimally globalized war, during which Western support for Ukraine exhausts itself and Western democracies begin to collapse. And then Putin can act from a position of strength. The left's strongest case is the risk of global nuclear Armageddon.
A nuclear war could break out in a week, in 30 days. We are staring over the precipice of that nuclear brink now, more than ever before. It would spark World War III, and the result of that is destruction of the world.
My own assessment is that Russia indeed poses a high global nuclear risk. This is the left's strongest argument, but I have a couple of responses. One, the Biden administration has been extremely conservative at nuclear escalation management. That is why we've seen, with each new weapon given to Ukraine, first a toe in the door, then 2 toes, then 3, and then eventually a small quantity of weapons is delivered. Second, Ukraine retaking Crimea would increase global nuclear risk. But Ukraine not retaking
Was that
Crimea,
necessary?
Ukraine
Blood, come
not
on.
retaking its territories, Ukraine
I'm doing
losing Kiev,
badly.
which
I
is
had to
kind
work
of
tomorrow.
impossible, would actually lead to massive
I'm suffering
Russian
actually.
escalation
Life's gonna be
and
good when
high
I have
nuclear
3
risk.
days.
However we weigh
When I go
nuclear
into
risk,
pension.
we are exchanging nuclear risk today for nuclear risk tomorrow. There is no nuclear
Does he have one of those tables
way
like go on the
of
side?
standing up
He
to
does, right?
Putin's
He has one of those tables that go there.
And
Pay
now
raise.
we're going to the elephant in the room.
Congratulations,
We
congratulations,
zoom out and look
congratulations.
at the left's relationship with
Suffering as well, I
America.
feel ya. I feel ya.
Here is the humanist public intellectual and presidential candidate Cornel West causally centering American imperialism in the run-up to the war.
NATO is an instrument of American imperial foreign policy. We've seen it over and over again, and so we're witnessing a proxy war.
They view all U.S. action abroad as imperialist, and in some cases as a product of U.S. corporate capitalism. Their views are profoundly U.S.-centric. They think 2 things. First, imperialism is always bad. Second, their working, implicit definition of imperialism is American-centric. Imperialism just is what America does abroad. Paradoxically, their US-centric anti-imperialism blinds them to the horrors of Russian imperialism. And it also blinds them to the constructiveness of US power in Ukraine. What they miss about imperialism, if we call the United States an empire, is that not all empires are equally bad. And some global problems cannot be solved without the projection of imperial power. US imperial power is the only vehicle for stopping Mr.
Man,
Putin's
look at these Ukrainian flags, holy
The
shit.
truth is that the US empire is good and
This makes me happy to see them
and
around
we
at this
need
point.
it to be good, and it is good now in Ukraine. While Russian imperialism is, as we have seen, irredeemably nihilistic and caught up in a destructive and self-destructive death spiral. The bottom line is that in denying the agency of other countries, in over-exaggerating America's indeed pervasive hand in everything, the leftist heroes of our video end up paying US imperialism a compliment in reverse. In lampooning American power in such a reductionist way, Noam Chomsky and our other heroes fall into the very American centrism they're trying to critique. But that's not a reason to cancel them. So what do we have to say in defense
White
of
House
those
flag
who've
closet
critiqued?
room must be
First,
crazy.
many on the left do not share the mistakes
I see
of the
that
heroes
too.
in this video. Ask a
I've never
Polish
thought about
or
that.
a Ukrainian leftist
Do
about
they
the
just have a bunch of
reality
flags around?
of Mr. Putin's imperialism, and they'll tell you
Do they
what's
get them from
Second,
somewhere, or
it
do they
would
just
be
have them like
unhealthy to have nobody in the position
around?
that is always
Like, oh, here's
opposed
our room
to
with
all
European
US
flags.
lawmaking. If you support Ukraine, your opponents on
How's
the
it done?
soft on Putin Western
Do they
left
have like
could be
boxes?
your allies
And then a
another
box
day.
says Croatia, so when
The
someone from
alt
Croatia is
left
coming, they put up
warning
Croatia
about
decorations.
collapsing trust in our institutions is valid. And
I've
it's
never thought
helpful
about it.
if they remind us that, in principle, a correct policy abroad could become wrong.
Do you think they
if it
have one for
destabilizes
Kosovo?
democracy at home. 4, we share a table.
Because that would be
of
fucking
and
great.
we don't get to win an argument by declaring that we've won it. That said, the left's poor analysis costs. It costs us, it costs our democracy, it costs Ukraine,
True.
it costs Eastern Europe, and it even costs Russia. It would be a catastrophe for Eastern Europe and for the West if a part of Eastern Europe were lost to a tyrant sitting atop an imploding empire. Putin threatens our national security, not just Ukraine's, and we need to plan and strategize accordingly. Now, an obvious question coming out of this is, how on earth did Russia
Online
end up
store?
in this disastrous place? To understand
It controls the world as they
cultural and
choose what the
historical
flags really
journey
are.
that
Oh
got Russia
shit.
Watch this video next.
Actually, like, I've never thought about that. I'm genuinely like wondering now, do they have like a country section? And does the country section have Kosovo in it? I'm genuinely interested. Bro, can you imagine? Can you imagine Serb reaction if you manage to get evidence that the UN room with flags for all states has Kosovo there? And I imagine it would have to. I imagine were Kosovars ever visiting USA, so we can look into Kosovan visit to USA. No, 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 no. Welcome to the country with the biggest crush in America. What it actually is. Where is this? Pristina, Kosovo? No, 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 no. I need Kosovo flags in USA, not the other way around. Oh. I don't know. Hisni? I don't know how to say his name. Holy shit. But hey, he loves the United States unconditionally. Because of America, my country exists. He declares, walking through what he calls his wildlife garden of caged peacocks, doves, exotic chickens, and a sad hawk. How do you know he's sad? So when Donald Trump was elected America's president, I named my favorite wolf after him. You see, Trump wolf protects me. Just like President Trump will protect Kosovo. My dude, I'm sorry. I'm very certain Trump doesn't know what Kosovo is. But good, okay. This is the most pro-American nation in the world. Of course they are. In the latest Gallup World Poll, Kosovo gave the current US administration a 75% approval rating, the top score. The average rating globally is 30%, an all-time low. It would have been 5% actually, but Kosovo gave it such a high score it broke the scoreboard. This loyalty has roots in the brutal 1998-1999 war with Serbia. The war claimed the lives of more than 13,000 people, most of them ethnic Albanians. More than 1.4 million were displaced from their homes. Thousands of women were raped. United States led NATO airstrikes that drove away Serbian strongman Milosevic's army. Based. Most Kosovars are careful not to criticize President Trump, though they rooted for Hillary Clinton in the 2016 election. Her husband was president during the NATO strikes and remains a revered figure here. In Pristina, on Bill Clinton Boulevard, there's an 11-foot statue of former President Clinton, waving and holding documents engraved with the date NATO started bombing Serbia. I thought it would be the date when he sent NATO, to help or held one of those speeches or whatever. No, it's the bombing date specifically, not independence of Kosovo or whatever. No. Next to the statue is a boutique called Hillary, with a whole rack of pantsuits. Oh, Kosovo will always hold a special place in my heart, Bill Clinton said in a video message for the country's 10th birthday, which was on February 17th. That is cute. There are Kosovars named Clinton and Hillary, but there is also a boulevard dedicated to George W. Bush, who backed Kosovo when it officially declared independence in 2008. Bob Dole, I don't know who that is. Wesley Clark Driving School pays homage to the retired US Army general who led NATO during the Kosovo War. There's a replica of the Statue of Liberty atop Hotel Victory. Celebrating when another country got bombed just makes me sad, regardless of what country. Bro. My dude, Kosovars were being ethnically cleansed by Serbs. I can assure you right now, whatever neighboring country you have, if they were to invade the territory of your country, and if they were to butcher your family, you too would celebrate the fact that someone else is bombing shit out of their asses. Okay? When we got invaded by Serbia, we got invaded in the 1990s, very early 1990s. In 1995, we finally managed to end the war, right? So we did Oluya, and then they pulled out of the remaining of the country. We had drinking parties, we had dancing parties when Serbia was being bombed. Serbia went and invaded all of our lands. They did ethnic cleansing on all of our lands. It's been years at this point. We still have thousands of people missing. We will never know what happened to most of our people. They can get fucked, and people had every right to celebrate. Holy shit. Made me happy. There's really good songs over it. People still talk about it even today. Serbia deserved it. Serbia fucking deserved it. Oryx. Hey, Oryx is getting shut down soon, right? He's keeping track of Russian propaganda claims. Is this new? Was he doing this before? The purpose of this list is to track Russian claims concerning the destruction of HIMARS, MLRs, harpoons. This list is updated as additional statistics and losses become available. Holy shit, this is great! Oh, this is great! 5 harpoons. Wait, can I? Where do I click on it? Oh, I have to actually go down and look for it. Okay, 16. Oh, and here is where they reported on it, but there's no visual evidence of this. Nice. Wait, how many helicopters? 246 helicopters claimed to have been destroyed by Russian state TV as of August 16, 2023. Visual evidence and obituaries support the loss of 27 operational helicopters. 459 aircraft claimed to have been destroyed by Russian state TV as of August 16, 2023. Visual evidence and obituaries support the destruction of 69 operational aircraft. Dude. 48 HIMARS claimed to have been destroyed or captured by Russia's Ministry of Defense as of March 26, 2023. Only 16 HIMARS have been delivered to Ukraine. Wait, you can't see this. They claim they destroyed 48 of them. Only 16 have been delivered. There's no visual evidence that supports the loss of any HIMARS. Oh, it's Oryx. It's Oryx. They make, there's a list of Russian losses, there's a list of Ukrainian losses. Oryx is a great source on this. So they will only be tracking confirmed losses, which is why they are very, very reliable. They update the list regularly. I've seen on only one occasion where someone was like, hey, Oryx actually used like, it was a situation where Russia basically took images from two sides, and whoever was editing Oryx didn't figure out that the same vehicle was lost in two pictures. So they counted this two separate losses, and then the person pointed it out, and then Oryx just edited it out and fixed the number to be proper. So I think they're a good source, and I do think that they fix the mistakes if they have any, you know. I think they're good. Isn't perfect, but it's as good as you will get. Yeah, definitely, definitely. Czech Defense Minister confirmed they are preparing to hand over Mi-24 helicopters, which will be replaced by US helicopters. Yes! Oh, yes! Oh, look at this idiot down here. Blue check mark. Blue check mark rots your brain. I have learned that, okay? If you have a blue check on Twitter, it's like an infection. It just eats away all of your IQ. From 133 to like 0 in just a few days. Almost impressive. There's a good chance Ukraine probably paints these and around destroy vehicles sometimes. Oh, I haven't heard that. Interesting theory though. It's like it would be like Russians painting those symbols on vehicles that they destroyed during Belgorod raid, right? Could be that. Could be like that. Love and hate Twitter. Yeah, same. Man, I used to not be using it at all. I made an account years ago, and I wasn't using it until I figured it's a great source for if you wanted to have actual opinion on the ground on what's happening in the invasion. Because in the first few days of the invasion, the situation was very hectic, and it sucked not knowing how Ukraine was doing. And I think that's actually why I started using Twitter properly in the first place. It was because I learned of a lot of Ukrainians who are posting about what's going on, so we would be able to know what's happening, and we would be able to share the fundraisers and everything soon. And then, you know, fellas started existing, and it was a very good site for a while, wasn't it? These so oddly recognized. It's probably easier to use to pass off as rock trucks. Yeah, definitely. You just go ch-ch-ch. Could be that. I wonder if they ever caught any of these. I remember, but I mean, by the virtue of me following mostly, mostly. I don't even know. I wanted to say I follow mostly Ukrainian sources online, so that's why I'm getting mostly the news when Russians fuck up in trying to fake something, but I don't even think it's like as much about me following Ukrainian sources. I think it's a lot about me following anti-Russian sources, which is why I get a lot of news about Russians fucking something up. But I remember when Belgorod thing happened. I don't know if you remember that, but they basically put a bunch of old destroyed vehicles around, and they claimed that these are the vehicles that Russian volunteer corps were using when they were invading Belgorod. And I remember one of them specifically, it was burnt. So it was burnt, and you could see the burn marks all over it. And then it had the symbol, like the arrow, that Ukrainians were using to like that's basically symbolics. It had it painted on, but like because the vehicle was burned and then the symbol was painted on, you could clearly see that the symbol wasn't on the vehicle as it was burning, right? They just took an old destroyed vehicle and painted this on him. It's not like they actually burned a vehicle with this marking. They added it on later. So yeah, I wonder if like it ever happened that Ukrainians were caught doing something similar to that. I mostly, whenever I see stupid mistakes being made in a war, it's mostly by Russians, because I do follow a lot of people just making fun of Russians.
What?
Man, I love this man.
Well, nobody's gonna watch our videos unless there's some kind of dancing. Come on, let me just...
Yeah, wheel marks too.
I'll finish practicing this. I'll just like... All propaganda machines rely heavily on so-called useful idiots, or individuals who unknowingly promote or support something without knowing the whole story.
The Biden administration was funding secret biolabs in Ukraine, of all places.
These people then often become tools for social
forgot about the
manipulation
biolabs
without
propaganda
even realizing
already.
it.
Fact check!
First, let's see how useful idiots are created.
It's alive! It's alive! It's alive!
It usually begins with spreading misinformation or half-truths through social media, biased news or propaganda. They show these people a one-sided story to play with their emotions and beliefs. Many useful idiots are often lured in with conspiracy theories. Once an individual has fallen down the rabbit hole of these theories, they've often lost any kind of trust in local government and authorities.
Because we know deep, deep down in our belly, deep, deep down in our bones, deep, deep
I
down
forgot about
is where the
Russell.
secrets are.
And are vulnerable to become
Man,
a
I forgot
propagandist
about
to a
Russell.
foreign organization or agency.
There is results.
For example, a recent anti-woke movement did this by sharing emotionally charged content and twisting facts about the decadent West.
But hold on, you just said that dolls about motherhood are bad.
At the same time, it offered an alternative from traditional Russia to counter this cultural change. People
Sir.
who trust these sources unknowingly...
If you are not a fan of wars or violence, don't you see how it's ultimately a good thing to bomb the fuck out of a country which started multiple invasions and attempted multiple ethnic cleansings? That's the most anti-war thing that could have been done during the breakup of Yugoslavia, bombing the shit out of Serb asses. That is the most anti-war thing you can do. The same way the most anti-war, anti-genocide action we could do right now is to bomb the fuck out of Russians. Because anything else, any sort of peace deals, any sort of negotiations, they're just going to be appeasement. You give any sort of an illusion of victory to these people, they will invade again. The only way to keep them not invading again and not starting another war is to bomb the fuck out of them. He worked on Serbia. Look at Serbia right now. They're peaceful. They do have their little propaganda with Greater Serbia, but they're not gonna do shit. And a big reason why they're not gonna do shit is because they know that NATO now is even closer than where NATO was years ago. If Serbia so attempts to go and invade countries around it, Serbia's gonna be bombed in a second. They know this, they're aware of this. So what they're doing is not starting any wars, which is a benefit to us all. In the same way, if you compare this to like, let's take the example of Russia, which butchered Chechens, and as a consequence, Russia has suffered nothing. And then it butchered Georgians, and as a consequence, Russia suffered nothing. It invaded Crimea and eastern Ukraine, and as a consequence, Russia suffered nothing. And now it started the full-scale invasion in 2022, and as a consequence, it's suffering, let's say, barely something. That is appeasement to these countries. That is the pro-war position. You are supporting war, you are supporting genocide if you support the idea that we should just let them go around butcher and we shouldn't get involved ourselves. Kind of happy I missed most of that stuff. 1990s? I do. I lived through the consequences when it comes to Croatia. I lived through returning to Croatia and you know, looking for people's bodies and rebuilding the house and everything, rebuilding the village. I lived through that shit. It's been really, really fucking depressive. I can't even imagine how hard it must have been for people, you know, during the time. Oh, that, yeah, fair. That's fair, that's fair.
Start supporting their cause.
I don't know what I'm doing half the time.
Some people are more vulnerable to becoming useful idiots than others. It's often those who have strong biases, lack critical thinking,
By the way,
idiots than others.
I'm just saying this as a reminder. The account you're seeing right now on the screen, Dom Lucre, I assume is the pronunciation. The mentioned account was banned on Twitter for posting child pornography. And the mentioned account was reinstated on Twitter by Elon Musk personally. The account is also getting cash money for posting on Twitter, although some people are alleging it's a lie that they're getting money, and I assume they made up the theory about it being a lie because Elon Musk would have huge legal issues otherwise. Because Dom has posted about, you know, like when Elon Musk gave a paycheck to several Twitter users for the engagement rate, one of them was Dom. And Dom posted about this paycheck to flex around with it, which basically means that Elon Musk paid engagement money to an account which has posted child pornography, and then also personally made sure that the account stays on Twitter. So, yeah. Overall, I don't know. I still use Twitter, but every single day I think about it, I'm like, it feels slimier to still be on the site.
It's often those who have strong biases, lack critical thinking skills, or just want to find a group where they could fit in. Those looking for simple answers in a complicated world can easily get trapped. In general, we can say that people who tend to believe conspiracy theories are also prone to becoming useful idiots. Useful idiots often act based on emotions, not careful thinking.
We're all real emotional.
That makes them easier to manipulate and influence. Modern social media has a tendency to push us into rabbit holes.
Yeah, this was never
I'm
about
hoping
science.
Threads
This
is gonna
was
be
about
good.
The business of science.
Can you
It was
access?
about the money.
Who
Follow
can
the
access
money
Threads?
trail.
The term refers to
No, wait,
Alice
we
in
still
Wonderland,
can't, right?
who fell down a rabbit hole
I haven't
only
checked
to
in a
find
while. I haven't checked in a few
distorted
days.
world detached from our reality. As these social media giants want
European
you to
Union
spend
has
as much
too
time
strict
as
rules,
possible
so we
on their
can't be using them.
platform, their algorithms offer people endless stream of
Social
similar
media
content.
manipulator. I need to start
Content
taking
that
like
invokes
booby
a
pictures.
strong emotional reaction tends to keep you engaged longer, and one can get quickly lost in this type of downward spiral. The deeper people delve into these holes, the more detached they become from reality. For example, around 2013, the YouTube algorithm found a connection between gaming content and so-called alt-right material.
Blue
And
Sky,
the
yeah,
platform
it's
started recommending
also like you need
videos
to be
by
invited
Jordan
to join or
Peterson
whatever.
and Ben Shapiro to people who were watching Minecraft tutorials.
Okay, I'm seeing something.
Then the next recommendations were a bit more extreme, maybe discussing the decadence of the West, or telling you why the failed Austrian painter with a funny mustache wasn't so wrong after
yeah,
all.
Mastodon is weird to use, isn't it?
What the fuck did you just say?
Hence, a rabbit hole.
Mastodon is weird.
Also, connecting different
But like I'm
conspiracy
kind of
theories
positive
can
about
be
Threads. I feel
effective in
Threads is
luring
gonna
in
be, you know,
useful idiots. Many people who believed in
what Kick
COVID-19
is to Twitch.
conspiracy theories,
The same thing
or
as
that
Twitter,
the
just that
globalists
Twitch
are trying
different.
to take over the world.
There was a very powerful group of people working silently behind the scenes on a plan to change the world.
Are now rooting for Putin in Ukraine.
Came too far, right? Yeah.
Behind this story? Is it to do with the
Russell.
failing Ukrainian counteroffensive?
Let me demonstrate. Your government lied to you about the vaccines. Why wouldn't they lie to you about the war?
Can I fucking... Can we just fucking take a second to mourn the loss of this man? Because I genuinely thought he was funny while I was in high school. And for a while he was funny as a comedian. And he seemed interesting. And it's like his brain has rotten away ever since. It just sucks. If Threads is to replace Threads, it needs a weird Twitter contingent. Oh, it's going to have it. It's going to have it. You're not positive about Threads? Knowledgeable people just won't sign up to Facebook for it. Oh! Oh, that's an interesting way to look at it, because everyone I know has a Facebook account, or Instagram at least, if they don't have Facebook, right? And you need, the way I've understood it, you need one of those, right? To be able to use Threads. I just assumed... I assumed that we will be able to... Most people will be able to join regardless, because most people, you know, need to communicate with people around them. And usually you do it either over Facebook or over Instagram, right? At least those two are the most popular here. Yeah, I don't know. I'm hoping Threads is gonna be good, dude. I genuinely have some sort of positivity about it. You stopped using Twitter? Nice. Oh yeah, I'm not really a... Especially because Threads is not allowed in European Union right now. And the fact that it's not allowed in European Union would make me not want to use it. You know? Like I've heard people are guessing that there's ways to like go around the ban if you figure out how to change the location of your account plus the location of your phone and everything, right? Basically you make it think that it's not in European Union. I've never tested it, and I don't really want to, because I feel like if you're not allowed in European Union, you actually have quite big problems, right? But once they change the way that they are operating to fit into the laws with European Union, I don't know, I'm gonna be comfortable using them, to be honest. I think we have quite strict laws. I think we have quite good laws. I think that if they can comply with our laws, I think they're okay to use.
This story, is it to do with the failing Ukrainian counteroffensive?
Let me demonstrate. Your government lied to you about the vaccines. Why wouldn't they lie to you about the war? Putin is just trying to fight against the globalists and the pedo cult and the woke and the decadence of the West. Open your eyes, sheep.
Sheep trapped in a maze designed by wolves.
The impact of useful idiots can be huge. They end up spreading false information and biased views, causing divisions and polarization in society. In some cases, it can even lead to conflicts and violence. Throughout history, we've seen how useful idiots unknowingly supported harmful causes like
I guess it depends on what you care about.
Regimes,
how much certain data
ideologies.
being sold
To wrap
bothers
up,
you know what I mean?
Understanding how useful idiots are born helps us navigate the overwhelming information.
Guys, you heard it here first. The truth seekers are going to fight pedophiles, okay? And they are being led by no other than Scott Ritter. You have a typo in your title? It should say Mexico, Croatia, everything else. Excuse me. You can talk to me when Mexico has one of the highest water qualities in the region. How good is the water quality in Mexico? I only have data for European Union. But And Croatia is very, very high on the list. Okay, we're very, very good. So you're welcome for the fact you're being allowed to speak to one of us. It's more about who gets the biggest slice of the cake, as usual. Okay, yeah, that too. That too. Richard Stallman? Oh, I would need to look into them. What I do know is that I know lots of your data is being sold for like advertisements to be more effective on you. That is something that I personally don't care about. You know? Stuff like that with like algorithms and everything. I don't really care about that. So from my position, it's you know, like the norm. There's like a box I would have for normal security concerns, and I don't feel like any app or any site is completely safe when it comes to this. And then there's like the actually concerning ones. And for me, and because I don't really care about this topic as much as I wish I would care about it, I don't really look into it too much. I don't look this up enough. So how I do it is I look into what European Union has banned, and if European Union has banned it, I'm like, okay, I'm just not gonna be using it. I'm not gonna be attempting to use it. I'm not gonna be attempting to cheat the system in order to get this. If European Union is banning it, I don't need it in my life, because the laws are pretty. I do think they're well set. So I do think that if an app is not able to comply with them, why would I get it? But that's as much as I think about it, to be honest. Just beats out Denmark. Losers. Danish bitches. I actually tried to find a list of by I think water quality worldwide to compare, but I couldn't find it. I couldn't find that, so I wasn't really too happy about that, you know. 76.5 Luxembourg, nice. Oh, nice. Doesn't Luxembourg have like 5 people? Quarter of entire Luxembourg watching me right now. Advert data is sold to some random third party, and then that data gets compromised and leaked. Yeah. So what do you do about that? What do we do about that? How do we protect against that? How's anyone gonna protect against that? Holy shit. What even can be done? Control F Wikidex under that. I should do that. I know there was a way. It was a. I don't know if I want to say it was a trend, but like it kind of was a trend on TikTok for a while to look into your Google information. There's a way for you to access your account information to see what they know about you. And people were claiming that there's like really weird information in it sometimes. Like something that you don't even know is there. And I always wanted to go and check like what do they have on me. And I never bothered to do it. Yeah, like that, right? Because I've seen people making TikToks on it, and it was really interesting sometimes, you know. And I kind of wonder what I would see. I'm way too lazy. I'm way too lazy.
There. So let's stay informed, think critically, and avoid being manipulated.
Amen to that.
Thank you,
But
Pekka.
not all propagandists are spreading their bullshit unknowingly. Some are even recruited for the task, and in the next episode we'll talk about mice. No, not the animal, but an acronym used to describe the 4 general
TikTok's about data
motivators
privacy.
that
Yeah, I
lead
know.
someone to collaborate with the foreign agency
I have
or organization. But
just
for
now understood the
I
irony.
say goodbye to you, my friends and soup lovers. We'll meet again soon on the next episode of the Soup Central.
Thank you, Soup Central. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. By the way, I have to be leaving soon. I gotta go and finish my writing on Vojvodina. And then I gotta go and watch... Holy shit, I went to watch Thompson on Twitch. My heart just broke. My heart just fucking broke. I was like, let me see if he's live. And then I remembered he's here actually. Which is fucking sad. Saying nice and then talking shit right away. It's not talking shit technically. It's talking facts. It's speaking facts. Look, I gotta bully someone for being from a small country, okay? Like, you notice Croatia there? Croatia is fucking tiny. You know how often I get to bully someone that they come from a tiny country? Never. My dude, never. I could bully, like, I don't know, Cyprus people? Who else? Malta is tiny. What here is smaller than Croatia? How big is Ireland when compared to Croatia? Probably huge, right? Slovenia is tiny. Okay, Slovenia is tiny. And that's about it. Everyone else is huge. I'm pretty sure. I don't even know how the Baltics compare to us. You know, I always bully people from Slovenia. I always bully people from Slovenia. Slovenians are bitches. Have you ever met a Slovenian? Have you ever met someone from Slovenia? You're gonna know if you have. Because every single Slovenian likes crying about how hard it is to be Slovenian. It's their national hobby. If there was Olympics in crying, you would see like Serbs and Russians being there, and then you would see Slovenes just that being like, it's so hard to have this big of a paycheck. I can buy 3 cars, but I can't buy car number 4. Curse me for being born in Balkans. They're not even Balkan. Ish. Rich fucking asses. Slovenians are ridiculous little people. Slovenes? It's Slovenes, isn't it? Ridiculous little people. They have a great economy situation. The country is doing amazing. And yet, my dude, they find it so hard to survive and keep on going. It's the funniest nation ever. They're the mix of everything perfect. So they are a mix of Balkan culture, which is the best culture in the universe, plus Western money, which is way better than Eastern money. And still they like bitching. They like bitching. I just love them. Wait, for the Google thing? For the Google thing? Could I check it? I'm gonna check it off stream, and then if there's something interesting, I'm gonna tell you on stream. Estonia, Europe? Wait, Estonia? Latvia, Lithuania? What? 1,300,000 in Estonia? What? Everyone I met from Balkans was crying how hard it is. If they're from Slovenia, they're lying. If they're from Croatia, it's 50-50. If they're from Serbia or Bosnia, though, they're fucking based. It's incredibly hard to be there. Incredibly fucking hard to live there, my dude. Serbia's paychecks are tiny. Tiny small paychecks. Their workers are way too overworked. It's really hard to be in that country. And it doesn't help them that currently they're having problems with Kosovo right now. I mean, right now, for the past few years, they've had problems with Kosovo. But Kosovo has been successfully getting better and better government and better international relationship, and thus Kosovo has been getting more and more support from allies. The problem is that Serbia has decided to go on the completely opposite path of doing worse and worse and having shittier and shittier government, and thus losing support from allies more and more. So at this point, it becomes more obvious to Serbs that they will never get Kosovo under their control again. But they get pissed off when they have to understand this, when they have to think about this. So for politicians in Serbia, one of the easiest ways to get votes is to claim that Kosovo is Serbian land and that you will be the person, like promised prophet, who's going to be able to bring Kosovo back under the rightful Serbian rule. So it's very interesting to watch their situation right now. Oh, Croatia. Croatia has gotten a lot better ever since we entered European Union. When it comes to corruption, we are horrible. When it comes to late paychecks, as far as I know, we haven't had nearly as many issues with that as we used to be having previously. There's a lot of corruption, though. Absolutely, there's a lot of corruption, definitely. The thing is that when we entered the European Union, a lot of our people immediately ran away. So immediately they went to Germany, they went to Ireland, they went to Sweden, they went to wherever they could go, so they wouldn't have to stay in the shithole, right? So what has happened is a lot of our firms didn't have any workers. And then what happens is they had to improve the condition of the workers in order to keep them in the country. So they had to start giving bigger paychecks. They had to start giving more cash to people. They had to start giving them proper free days. I work retail currently. Retail workers were not getting their free days until very recently. And we're talking about a thing that was guaranteed by law. So for decades, we had in the law that workers must be having at least 1 day per week free. This was not actually enforced until a lot of our workers went to other countries, and then Croatian firms were like, hey, shit, maybe I should start following the law and giving these people their 1 free day when they want it, because this is the only way to actually keep a worker in the firm, because they can't keep on getting new workers forever. It's economically shit, but also at some point you're just gonna run out of workers. So we were forced to improve. We were forced to improve when it comes to that, and right now we're doing okay, to be honest. We're doing okay-ish. For Serbia, a bigger problem is that prices are influenced by, everything else happening on the market. So currently their prices, as like all the other European prices, as the global prices more or less so, the prices of products are getting higher, but Serbian paycheck is still immensely tiny. Like when we go to shopping there, we used to be going to shopping in Serbia previously because they used to be cheaper than what Croatia was. But in the last few years, they have only gotten more expensive. So you can't even go to buy their shit for cheap because there's no cheap shit anymore in Serbia. It's almost the same prices as here, but they get tiny paycheck compared to ours. It's like 4 times less than we get. I picked up some of the language because I was asked a few times. Are you asking for cigarettes? Imaš cigara? Daj upaljač. Yeah, it's let me imaš cigaru. It would be written like this. This means, do you have a cigarette? And then daje upaljač. Uskličnik. This means give me a lighter. So, but yeah, that's the basics that you need to know. You need to know also, idemo da pijemo. It's written like this, idemo da pijemo, and that means let's go to drink. Hey yo, DB, I'm actually preparing to leave. I'm teaching my man important stuff about what's the word? Croatia. They wouldn't even try and talk to me in German. Just straight up Yugo. Yeah, the thing is that there's areas of Germany that we have occupied. So a lot of our people are just used to using Yugo in foreign countries because a lot of their first experiences with going outside was going to Germany, to areas of Germany we have occupied. There's entire cities in Germany in which you will hear more Yugoslav languages spoken than actual German. We genuinely occupied the entirety of the area. So I'm guessing you've met one of these, because I don't think occupied is the wrong term there. My dude, I have seen what Croats do to these places. I have seen it okay? Like you go on a street, there's like it's a Saturday evening, there's party in the bars, they have Croatian flags. They do better patriotism than we do here in Croatia. Better fucking patriotism than we have. They're just amazing. Yes, nigga. Counterattack? Oh, Ukrainian counterattack is going great. Right now it's going great. It has sped up quite a lot lately. So currently we seem to be getting good news. Currently it's good news. They have Psyche everybody. Yeah, that's true. It's like Yugoslav unity, isn't it? So many nations at the same time, and all of them listen to Psyche. But it's why I think it's somehow ironic though. Like I have a lot of relatives there who are very open to bitching about other migrants coming to Germany, and it's always funny to me to watch it, you know? It's always funny to me to watch it. People will be like, oh yeah, well these Turks come to Germany and then they party until very late in the night and no one can sleep. How evil are they? They shouldn't be allowed in. And I just remember like, you know, Croatian bar parties in Germany and how loud that fucking music is, and it just keeps on going, and there's a bunch of people just dancing around. Oh shit, I love this dude. We have to watch this dude. We're going to Dobson right now just to watch this man. But yeah. Overall, it's funny to me. Croatians are fucking funny when it comes to these conversations. Yay! Bro, look at that. Just, man, I'm so happy over it. I am so happy over the fact that something is happening. Really, really, really hoping that the gains keep on happening. Like, look at this. Just a few days. Come on. Come on. I'm really, really, really fucking hopeful. Chill as fuck, both. But usually they are very loud and I like to stay away. That makes a lot of sense. That makes a lot of sense. What's his shirt? What does his shirt say? I don't know what's the supposed meaning of this. Yeah, huh? Is it? What is that? What is it? Because you know, I see the flag on a shirt and I'm like, cool. But then what's Grund? Oh, that was cool at it. The soil, but they use it as the base. Oh. Oh, we don't have that word. We don't have that word. We don't have a similar word to that. Near a city, near a Serbian border, starting with Osijek. Osijek? It's Osijek, isn't it? It's definitely Osijek. Max 30 kilometers away from that city. Huh. They come from my area then. They come from my area. No wait, you're in Batch, right? You're in Wien. You don't I was like, holy shit, do you know my relatives? But no, I think no, they're in Germany. Fuck, where are they even? I always forget the places where they are, but I don't think it's them. But I have to go, guys. I have to go. Did I give you the link to Topsen? Here's your link to Topsen. Go watch Topsen. He's watching the funniest fucking dude ever. I actually wanted to show you this dude on stream, but then I felt bad because like if I show him, it's like I'm stealing him from Topsen, and I don't want to do that. So you will have to just go to Topsen to watch him. Are you wearing Vinman? How are you just for that? Oh. Okay, that makes sense. The buzz. The buzz. Front. Base, it's the ground. Oh. Never heard of that, but nice. Thank you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you for your expert knowledge. See you guys tomorrow. I hope to be finishing my research on Vojvodina today. So tomorrow we could talk about Vojvodina, because I do think you need to learn about, you know, about the situation and about just why didn't Vojvodina seek out independence the same way Kosovo did. And also I think it's interesting if I force you to learn more about former Yugoslavia. I'm hoping after that, I've been watching Skadesh chat today, and they're talking a lot about OSCE. So I'm thinking of maybe looking into the OSCE mission, because I used to have a lot of links for OSCE mission. Some of them specifically on specific days when they would note suspicious shipments from Russia and stuff like that. So I think I would need to look into that. So maybe that's going to be our next topic. But the topic I'm hoping for tomorrow is going to be Vojvodina, if I manage to finish the entirety of the research, okay? So, yeah, here's more of your, what's the word? Here's more linkies to go watch Topsen. And, yeah, I'm running away. Thank you for joining. Thank you for being here. Thank you for the subs. See you tomorrow. Stay strong. You